everybody, welcome to Frame Trap. I'm your host, Ben Moore. Today on the panel, I've got one Mr. Michael Damiani, rocking the Easy hat, as always.
Wore it for this special occasion.
Oh, nice.
I haven't been wearing it this whole week, but...
You rock it
just
well.
for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bradley Ellis.
Hi. Anime.
Cool.
Michael Huber.
For a good time.
I hear you're a big Iron Fist fan.
No.
No?
Haven't started it.
Don't downplay it.
I'm excited about it.
We know you've been watching it.
I haven't watched one episode.
We know you've been watching
I
it.
have not watched one episode.
You've got some conflicting opinions on Iron Fist.
It's one of those things. I love Twitter sometimes because
I love it sometimes.
I love Twitter sometimes because I like going on there and being like, hey, what does everyone think of Iron Fist? Because I haven't started it yet, so I wanted like a quick gauge of like where everyone's at.
Yeah.
And it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is
you were reading
exciting.
through them,
Yeah.
and it was. I think it's great. The Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. The Rotten Tomatoes score is wrong, or it's terrible.
It's
Don't watch this
trash.
garbage.
I love it.
Everything in between.
Yeah. It's okay.
What I like about Michael Huber on Twitter, at Michael P. Huber, by the way,
At Michael P. Huber.
is sometimes I get on Twitter and it's like, man, everybody's just trying to out-snark each other. Everybody's trying to out-clever each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the Michael Huber approach.
No.
It's just pure sincerity. It's just
Yeah.
hashtag Shenmue 3. That might just be a
Shenmue
tweet
3.
at 3 in the morning.
Update 65
Yeah,
with a link.
right.
Yeah.
You just want the people to know.
Wasn't there just a new
I love
update
that.
on that?
Yeah, update number 65.
65,
follower.
okay.
QTE
Oh.
video. Like, oh my god, I got chills. I got chills. There's a picture. Sorry, there's like a video on the
Begins. It begins.
there's a video like off-screen cam footage of like Rio like moving a chair out of the way, and I'm just like, that's the demo.
It's exciting though.
Yeah, it is.
It's existing.
Yeah. And, like, the best part about the video, too, is, like, seeing the team in high spirits. Everyone's just, like, laughing, like, having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of game I want to play, where the devs are, like, stoked.
Passion project. I
Yes.
think applies here. Michael Damiani, when you arrived on the scene to record this Frame Trap, which we were supposed to record an hour ago, but we had to get some things sorted out, you grabbed a Sapporo and went to San Sapporo beer, and then Huber and I grabbed one, and we're currently drinking them. So I think it is going to be an extra loose podcast. So, forewarning, let's get started with the show. Let's not beat around the bush. Damiani, I'm going to ask you, what have you been playing? And I think you are probably going to tell me something very specific. Am I right?
Maybe.
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 What have you been playing?
Maybe I've been playing The Legend of Zelda.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
The original.
Underground
I didn't
hit.
say which one.
NES?
All of them.
All.
Wand of Gamelon,
That's right.
here we come.
That's right. Been playing the
All of them.
the game, the timeline. No, Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
And what has been really heartening for me is there are sometimes you review a game, not you specifically, but I think just as reviewers, where you just play so much of it in a short amount of time to try to get out a timely review, that when you're done, you're like, okay, I really enjoyed that, or I didn't enjoy that, but I'm happy to put it on the shelf. You've been still hungrily plucking away at Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I'd say 70 hours is about the amount of time I went into the game before writing that review. And just north of like 120 plus hours now in that game. Which 100% completion percent sits at just over 30% right now. We were doing the math in chat today during my Fire Emblem stream. Like, you could be here for 500 hours.
Wait, you're 30% complete, it
Like,
says?
towards the 100% completion?
Yeah.
I've only done 31 point something percent. Like, there you go.
My god.
So, Damiani, my
God.
question
You will
is...
be here for life. This is the game for life right now.
Yeah.
See you in 10 years.
Do you want to go for 100%?
No.
Okay.
I beat it as well, and I'm
You're out.
I'm content for now. Yeah.
I'm not content, but Damiani, my question for you is, as somebody who is going after 100%, sometimes with open world games, and especially if you go with 100%, let's say you eat all the fun and you're just left with kind of the work. Do you feel that way with Breath of the Wild, where what you're doing is not that engaging, or you're still having those moments of magic?
I'm I'm still having the moments of magic.
Good.
There was something the other day that I just didn't believe I hadn't seen that yet. I was like, what? How have I not seen this yet? Like, this game is constantly throwing things at me that I didn't know were in the game yet. But there is starting to be a little bit more of side quest or activities that I am not seeing in as positive of a light as before.
Okay.
I feel that they are starting to approach the level of tedium where I just stop and say, I don't know if that was really that good, actually, this quest I just did. I'm actually getting annoyed by this quest. I think this quest could have been axed. This could have been 0.08% towards that 100%. They could have cut that out.
Trim the fat.
Trim it.
Damiani, I want to actually dig into that a little bit deeper. But once again, before we get into specifics, I want to say to our audience, I want to extend you the courtesy. This is the part where we're talking about Breath of the Wild. And unlike the last time, I do want to be a little bit more specific in what we're talking about. So if you're still going through the game, if you don't want anything discussed, please feel free to skip. There are timestamps in the description so you can fast forward to the part of the show where you want. So these things, Damiani, drilling into it, now that you're post-review, post that initial 70 hours, what are the things that aren't as favorable to you?
I mean, they're just specific quests, like side quests that were optional. It feels like a lot of them, the majority of them were dumped on me with how I played through the game, kind of after the fact. And that's how that's one of the ways they're trying to encourage me to come back to the world. One of them was track down an NPC that might have ended up in exposition in the world, and but they could have been somewhere else. So go explore these giant areas and try and find this one NPC. And I was just like, going around this area for about 1 or 2 hours. At first, I was like, yes.
I love it.
It's like, I have no idea. This is going to take forever. But after about like this second search of the area, I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours in total going through various zones and areas to just try and maybe see if the NPC went this way, went that way. And at the end, okay, chat, I was doing this on stream. I go, chat, just give me a clue. Is it actually in this area I've been in for like 2 hours? They're like, yes, they're there. I'm like, are you kidding me? I've like searched everywhere here. And the nature of this area didn't seem like it'd be that hard to find them. So I went around again, and I just happened to come across them at a spot I'd been searching for a lot. Because this game, I don't know if it's been pointed out enough by other people, the game's NPCs adhere to the same time schedule that was present in Majora's Mask. They do act on schedules. At different times of day, they'll be doing different activities.
And Shenmue.
And what?
Plug.
The only two games that have
There
done
are only two games,
Only two.
That NPC only showed up in that certain spot between a certain time of window. In such a huge area, you're gonna other people who found it sooner must have just been lucky and been there at the right time. So that's...
You're talking about the Fang and Bone or no?
No, Fang and Bone wasn't that bad. I'm talking about
Okay.
finding someone in a giant lake.
Okay.
An NPC who might have washed down that way, down a whole river that covers half the map.
I haven't done that yet.
To jump in here, do you think because now that you finished the game and you're going for completion, it's more artificial and mathematical? Because what I love about the side quests in Zelda are the fact that when you get something like from a character that's saying like, yo, I got separated from, you know, my wife or someone, like it was in this area, like I have that information now and I'm still going about like my main quest. And it's like, if I'm in that area
Right.
with that knowledge, it's like, I'm kind of doing a little extra search, being a little more thorough, but I'm still kind of like going on my main quest. I'm not being like dumped onto like a quest marker of like, oh, she's right there. Like so many games do.
They don't do that at all.
Like I like how ambiguous it is.
The saving grace of that ambiguity, and I totally agree with you, is a lot of times, every time I would say that I play Zelda, what ends up happening is I'll go after something like, oh, I want to try to find the location of this photograph, or I want to head in the direction of this shrine or this tower. And along the way, I will have so many moments where it's like, I wonder if I lift up this rock, if something's going to be there. I wonder if I climb up to the top of the thing, if something's going to be there. I wonder if I throw this stone into this hoop, if something's going to happen. And every time something happens.
I was just thinking like, yes, it does happen every time.
Every time. And so it just... because there's so much other stuff that happens along the way, me like having to kind of stumble in the dark to get to that objective is not as annoying as I thought it would be in most instances. So
Yeah.
there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff.
And not at all.
I think from a completionist's perspective, it would be a nightmare. But I like that I'm not being pulled in a direction, and that is why I'm obsessed with this game and I adore it. Is because so many of the side quests are just like, hey, like there's a guy over in that area, or like, hey, there's some like buried treasure on an island in the east, but that's all I really know.
Sure.
I love that because I wasn't feeling like, okay, now I got all these side quests. Side quest anxiety you were talking about the other day.
Right.
It's like, all right, I have all these side quests. I don't want to like systematically check them off. It's like I'm just gonna kind of go in the general flow of the wind and the wild.
I also like, I am, but I'm also a little cautious about this because there are times where you will do something that is an objective for a side quest that you haven't even got yet, and just because you're exploring and you do something, you come across some kind of puzzle thing, it's like, what is this? And that's the beauty of this game, and it lets you do it right then and there and reap the rewards usually for that. But then there'll be times when I've done that, gone to talk to an NPC in some other place, and they were the trigger for a proper quest that actually would have sent you to go do that. And then there's supposedly was some story behind it, but it's automatically complete right then and there, and you get the credit for it. So I love that flexibility, but at the same time, I also wonder if there was any kind of like narrative richness lost from that. That if you did it the other way, if you'd encounter the NPC first, would you've also gotten another layer of satisfaction from you're driven through the like narrative elements by that character, like their story, their plea to you, versus you just happened across it in the world and did it for it was interesting. I guess it's interesting, and it's kind of hard to reconcile sometimes, but it's just so good how it's implemented that I kind of want to say it's only a positive. Like I have a hard time finding negativity in that.
Yeah, I had ran into an instance where that happened to me. Like I needed to get a photo of something, and on the way I saw something when I was going there, and I just took a picture because I thought it looked cool. Then the guy's like, "Hey, give me a picture of this." Then he just goes, "Oh, you already have it."
Yeah.
Cool. And I was like,
That's happening a
"Whoa,
lot too.
Yeah,
that's awesome."
I love that.
I also think it serves to remind people that the game is not so aimless as you think. Like just go out and explore. They actually did leave NPCs and clues there that will direct you if you happen to find them. Just the game's so huge. It feels like a needle in a haystack sometimes. You're going to find that right clue or anything like that. But they did consider that fact and still drop them in there for you to still find as well. So they covered all these different like layers of the game to make sure that the player could approach it from so many different ways.
And the fact that every single thing in that game is meaningful. Everything you get, from like little apples on a tree to the Korok seeds to the spirit orbs to every single weapon and armor and arrow, everything you get in that game is valuable and means something. Like never am I picking something up like this is trash. Like
Even
like,
money
no.
mattered this time.
Oh man, does money
Money
matter?
Best
matters,
economy,
yeah.
baby. One of the best economies I've ever experienced in a video game, period. Because things are so expensive. There's one of the shrines, or one of the beasts, because you can do them kind of out of order. The Roto one is like kind of high in the mountain, so it's like you need cold protection.
Right.
So it's like, maybe you should buy this like big cold resistant outfit, and it's like you buy the whole thing. It's like 4,000 rupees or like 3,000 rupees. It's like really expensive. It's like, dude, I saved for like days trying to get that much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend it all on just this one outfit that I'll probably just use for this one section. It's like you really got to think about what you're buying.
The lack of predictability affects the economy so much, because in every Zelda game there's a point where it's like I have enough money for anything that I want, and I know that I'm going to get the items that I need at the appropriate predetermined time for the most part. Whereas here there are times where I'm like, should I buy these arrows for 60 rupees, or should I save that for some sweet armor in some area, some shop that I'm going to find? And because you have to go and discover each thing piece by piece, and you don't know what's going to be there, you kind of have that moment of and it makes that decision, those small decisions that in other RPGs are just so trivial.
It harkens
really
back
good
to the some of the older games. I think
it does.
only the original Zelda and A Link to the Past, I feel, had like that importance. Maybe Link's Awakening had that importance of economy where money mattered a lot in those games, and especially in Zelda 1 because how cryptic it was. You didn't really know if something is what you actually needed or not. Some things you didn't even know what they even did if you didn't read the manual. But
random syndrome I had, Damiani. I was like playing and I was like near the end of the game, and I was just thinking in my mind, I was like, geez, the ocarina is really powerful. Like a powerful artifact, you know? I don't know.
Time travel, dude.
Yeah, just a random thought I had like playing through this game, because like it's pretty grounded in terms of like, you know, weapons and items and stuff.
yeah, there's not. Well, I mean, there's fantastical beast in this game and stuff, but this felt lower on the high fantasy totem pole in the Zelda series. There was obviously the technology angle, which said like far more technology stuff than any of the previous Zelda games, in my opinion. But it was less on the fantasy end of it, I feel. I don't know how any of you actually felt about it. I think it was cool. I had technology in here. I kind of would like them to go back to more like magic and stuff like that. Like that, but I still think they did a really good job with what they had in this game. What they presented.
Wait, are you talking about like items or story elements?
Like guardians and
I'm
stuff?
talking about like the guardians, the some of the, not necessarily the items, but like the enemies, like
yeah, sure.
Here's kind of the problem that I have with the Guardians and the technology aspect is I held off for, I feel like, about as long as I could to do any of the divine beasts, because I was doing a bunch of shrines, I was exploring the world, and I was feeling incredibly fulfilled and having a grand old time. And then I was like, I built it up in my mind. I was like, I can't wait to get into one of these divine beasts and have that like sprawling, really intricate Zelda dungeon experience. And then about 20 minutes later, I got done with the divine beast, and I'm like, that was fine.
Yeah.
Which was
It wasn't aggressively bad, but it didn't leave a mark the way that I was expecting it to.
Yeah.
I agree, Ben.
For
I
my
agree.
point, what was your first dungeons that you did? I'm kind of curious.
So Brad said I did the worst one first, the bird.
Yeah, I didn't like that
Okay,
one.
that one was probably the shortest of my.
Yeah, it's really short. Yeah,
Okay.
What
I
about you,
did
Huber?
the Elf?
The Rudo.
the
or
Zora one.
Zora. I did Zora.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, I would say that's probably like the second
Yeah.
easiest one.
I like the one
probably.
where you turned the 3 in the middle.
That's the
That's
the
same-
desert.
Yeah, I like that one.
desert
too.
one's cool.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite.
And
really
I
like
feel
that
like
one.
that one is the most complicated.
Yeah,
honestly.
that one was for sure.
I feel like the game does kind of how the story progresses, kind of slightly nudges you towards the Zora one. I feel like that's
It
what
does. It
that's what
does.
they do.
It does.
For whatever reason, I ended up at the desert one first, and I feel like that's a interesting one. I won't explain the specific mechanics about it.
Yeah.
But that took me just the longest. And I thought that was setting the bar. I was like, oh man, these might actually be real proper dungeons. And I agree in terms of, I feel like these were kind of probably the weakest dungeons of the 3D Zeldas when judged standalone, not within the context of the game. I also felt they were severely lacking in atmosphere and personality.
Yep.
People are gonna be like, they're giant divine beasts. They have dungeon mechanics.
Well,
the dungeon cook is cool.
Yeah.
But like, think back to some of the coolest temples. Like, think about Snow Peak Ruins, like
of
Twilight
course.
Princess, the
course.
mansion.
The best
Nothing even
dungeons in the
remotely
biz.
closely approaches like that creativity. Even the classics, like the Forest Temple, the Fire Temple. You don't even something as simple as that. So I don't know if you felt the same way about that. But
Absolutely.
I 100% know.
I was
Absolutely.
missing that.
It was the biggest
Yep.
letdown of the whole game.
Yeah,
The
I
whole
agree.
game as a massive whole, obviously incredible.
Yeah.
But I definitely wanted more out of the divine beasts.
I think part of that problem is because pretty much every time you go to a shrine, aesthetically the same thing is kind of going on. And I think mentally you're kind of going through it and like, these are these little challenges, these are these bite-sized things. And so you're expecting when you do the divine beasts for them to feel dramatically different the way that temples vary in a Zelda game. But they're kind of just more elaborate shrines. And so I
Yep.
think that also contributes to the lack of grandeur, if you will. I will say, in the defense of the Divine Beast, I actually not love, that's too strong of a word. I like the build-up to doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Those little storylines
Yeah.
that you go
Yes.
through without spoiling anything.
sure, yeah.
I actually think some of that stuff was pretty well presented.
Yeah, that owes a lot to Majora's Mask,
another-
in my opinion, too. That was the same
Yes.
way they set up those dungeons.
There was
same
only
way.
really one other big thing that bothered me, and
What was
it
it?
was the Divine Beast bosses.
Okay.
Again,
Yeah, the bosses.
lacking personality.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, like they, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can we really? Can I spoil that? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
Don't say what they are,
It's
but like
just, like-
maybe just, talk in general. You can
Yeah.
talk mechanics, maybe, but
Okay.
don't say who they are.
I just
Yeah.
wanted more personality and like variety, I guess.
It's because bosses usually felt like they kind of belonged in that area, or they had some sort of history with it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah, like-
the mansion again, Twilight Princess. Like you have the wife who is the boss
Yeah,
of it, you know.
yeah.
Or even,
But-
think of, go ahead.
I also think in not to really excuse it because I agree with you. I too was underwhelmed. But in previous Zeldas, because of the linearity and because it's like they knew you would get these things in these dungeons, they could make it more of a puzzle, and so it felt more specific, I guess. Whereas the bosses that I fought in Zelda thus far, it's kind of just like I'm whittling down your health in a very similar way, and therefore it's not quite as distinct and special.
Yeah.
Just because of the open nature of the game.
Yeah, there was no like Girahim or like Ganondorf like driving
Where
the plot
where you
for
like
me,
you have
know?
that moment in the game and you're like, this is gonna stick with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna do something quite like this again.
I will say about the bosses, I did like that because you were giving your arsenal so early. There wasn't that stupid hook of you found an item within that
Now you
dungeon
gotta
use it.
and it's
Yeah.
gonna be used against the boss. So it was like there was
Totally.
one boss in particular that I had to experiment a little bit to figure out how to break its defense, and none of you have mentioned that dungeon yet, so that's good.
Oh, I think I understand what you're talking about.
But yeah, the dungeons. Yeah, I think that's somewhere they could shoot for like next time.
Yeah.
For if they want to
Like
improve.
if
on
they
that.
could get the open world again like this and just improve upon the dungeons.
Yeah, because the Yiga,
Yeah.
the Yiga clan was like my favorite thing of this whole game.
You mean infiltrating?
Absolutely my favorite. Because it
Oh.
had
And they just pop out,
they
dude.
pop out so Naruto, like freaking bomb shurikens, like running like this, like
It's such a smart thing to include in the game, and other games have done something like this as well. But when you talk to people, even out on the road, occasionally it will lead to very interesting things, and so
Yeah.
you're kind of conditioned as a player to go and talk to everybody, and then you have those moments, and they'll even like tease you along with them. It's not like immediately
Yeah.
it turns into the bad
like
clan
I'm
member.
lost.
Right, or like, oh, I love bananas, and I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, that was a great quirk.
Yeah.
Because that was like shades of like Twilight Princess, like the Manchan, or like kind of shades of a classic style, group of characters culminating in kind of a dungeon style thing with its own personality.
Yeah, like that was kind of cool. They built them up in the game, their mythology and stuff, like being a rival clan of the Sheikah and stuff, and having their base and all that stuff. It was pretty cool. It came out of nowhere, but it was still cool. I want to say one last thing in defense of the dungeons.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
But not. I feel the shrines do such a good job in terms of presenting what I thought were some of the best individual puzzles.
Yeah.
Not all of them were
Definitely.
winners, but there were some really good ones in that game.
Yep.
And I feel the shrine concept, the freedom to just have one dedicated puzzle, rather than having to think about an elaborate dungeon layout and how those puzzles connect,
Yep.
gave them that freedom. And they did like the traditional type puzzles, the physics based puzzles. They went wild with the physics.
like
in
mini
there.
golf.
Yeah, and then
That is one of my favorite
the
ones.
combat ones were probably the weakest for
Yeah,
me.
just the combat challenges.
Just
But I
because
like
they
that
were,
they're there. I like that
do,
they're there.
Yes, I agree.
I'm always
I agree.
down for some combat trials.
Well, I
Like-
feel there are too many of them, and they all feature the same enemy.
Yeah,
Eventually.
that's-
You
exactly.
don't get any variety. Like I always thought, like, oh, am I gonna get a new boss or something? Kind of a missed opportunity there. But the fact they exist is not my problem. The fact that they get they actually become repetitive compared to
Yeah.
any of the puzzle ones. Like anytime I saw like something that didn't say a something test of minor, major test of strength, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, here we go. And some of them were really
yeah,
good.
I'm glad.
Go ahead.
I just want to say one of the biggest worries I had before this game came out was over 100 shrines. You know, I was like, oh my goodness, is this just gonna be like filler? Really, like Ubisoft open world? Everyone shits on Ubisoft open world. I'm sorry, but it's like their maps are always so cluttered, you know. And I was worried that it was gonna be all quantity over quality and just filler. And boy, was I wrong, because every time I found a shrine, every time I attempted to complete a shrine, and every time I completed a shrine, all of that was so rewarding. It was so engaging, and it was just so fun to figure those out.
I don't think every shrine is a winner, but more often than not, with shrines, there's a moment that I'm having, I'm like, how did you even think of this? This is such a smart and fun challenge to go through. And another thing that I like from a design perspective that I want to talk about is playing Zelda for long stretches of time. There'd be a lot of moments in a shrine where I'd be like, I know there's a treasure chest in here. And I like how pretty often they would make that optional treasure chest kind of correlated to the primary puzzle that you're doing, but just like one step above.
Yeah.
And most of the time, 90% of the time, I would want to do that and would feel really satisfied doing that extra optional thing. But sometimes I would just go on through.
Yeah.
And having that kind of baked into the design really helped kind of the flow of my playthrough.
I think it was good too, because those chests often contained valuable items too. Like a lot of the machine parts and
silver
stuff.
rupees.
Oh, yeah.
Gear.
Or
Some have
gear, like
gear.
really good gear.
Oh, yeah,
like
some
the
great
climbing
gear.
set, you get from all that.
Every single shrine I completed, I would always check around back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a bunch like that.
Like
Yep.
right.
Oh, yeah,
and there was never a chest.
Yeah. I thought,
Never.
I
I did it like 60
They
times.
knew you were coming, Hubert.
It's like, damn it.
Another thing that I want to talk about with this game.
Hold on, can I bring something about the shrines real quick before
Yes,
we move on?
absolutely,
I
please.
liked a lot of the side quests to find the shrines, actually.
Oh my god.
Dude, the like 3 trees on the
Yeah,
mountain.
like the 3 trees on the mountain. There's one where I had to like shoot at the sun at a
Yes.
certain time of the day to make it come out, or like stand.
Time reference.
Yeah,
Evan-
stand on like a pillar, like the blood moon or something like that, with no gear on.
Brad, I refuse to spoil it in great detail for our audience, but I just want to say Eventide Island, and not to sink into hyperbole, but I think Eventide Island is like, when I look back on favorite moments of 2017, that's going to be up there.
It's like I haven't even been there yet.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen in the world, and then when it happened and that voice came on and that was the challenge it gave me and how long it took to complete for me, oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Ho, 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 ho.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, are there places, Damiani, you said you're 100 hours in?
Over 100 hours now.
Are there any corners of the earth in the game you have not been to? Are there still places you haven't been to?
There have been small pockets that I
Yeah.
haven't thoroughly explored. Like the last stream I did, there was the northwest region where I'd only been to part of the mountain area. I found a few. Like I actually was exploring a part of it I hadn't seen, and I ended up in a part that I had seen before, but only through a mini game. But I didn't. Because the mini game showed so much of it, I thought I'd seen it all. But I forgot the mini game just resets you back to a spot when you're done. You didn't actually explore that area. So I never just manually walked through it, and there's so much I missed. This was a long, it's a snowboarding mini game. So you go down a whole freaking mountain side, and I was like, I actually didn't walk this area. There's so much crap here I didn't see.
That's crazy.
That's
cool.
And it's still happening.
Something that I think is cool, not just for Zelda, but was really just remarkable in its own right, is there are a lot of environmental puzzles and more formal dungeon and shrine puzzles where I feel like there are solutions that you can do where it feels like you're cheating in a super fun way. Like you will just like manipulate the physics or like relentlessly climb or blow something and knock something into something else where it's like I feel like I'm cheating, and that's so much
It's
fun.
that portal effect.
Creativity.
It's the same thing. You're like, I don't know
Exactly.
if I was supposed to do it that way, but I did.
Right. And you think about previous Zeldas, and they're so rich in
There's like
solutions.
one way
Like,
to do it usually,
you
yeah.
have to do it this way, and that was just liberating.
I was like playing Shrine here, and I was like, Kyle, like Kyle, like I cannot figure this one out. Like this one has stumped me. And then Kyle was like, yeah, I think you have to like do this and like stop it, and I think that's how he's like, that's how I did it. And then I was like trying to do it and I couldn't do it. So then I ended up doing a completely different way. And he was like, dude, Hubert. I was like, yeah, brute force. Damiani would be proud. Just completely did it a different way.
I do want to talk about the performance because it is something that is bothering me more than I anticipated and is more severe than I anticipated even after you said and showed that it was very severe. There are definitely moments where I go to a new area and I'm panning around that camera and it's getting choppy and I'm like, this is definitely taking some of the magic out of the moment.
That right there, I said this on a stream earlier this week because I wanted to put it into better words than I did in my review, but I didn't want to spoil it. I will not spoil it for you because I don't think Ben has been to this place yet.
I think
I think he has now.
He might have, but I will just be generic or general for audience as well. There's a certain really should have been emotional, powerful part of the game where you finally put in this work to solve something, to get to this area, and it's supposed to be the reward for getting through there. And two pivotal things in the game, if you care about story, are in there. A certain thing, an object, and a certain character. And the introduction, your first impression of the area, is just frame rate death.
Yeah.
You're like,
I knew
no.
it was referenced in some of the later trailers, so I knew it was going to be in the game somewhere. And when I finally found it, I was like, yes, this is going to be so cool. It just gave me a headache to look at it. And it was ruining what should have been such a great moment for me. And when I go back there each time, I know I'm just going to deal with frame rate crap here. Like, this sucks. I want to spend time here, but it's just, they didn't get this area right. How can you do this? I know there's instances of it all over the place in different areas. This was the biggest immersion breaker for me. Not just because it's a random moment, an important moment of the game, and they didn't spend the time to at least fix the frame rate in this area. And I was like, this is bad. Like, you can't.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When has Zelda had this problem? When has Zelda had frame rate problems to this extent? I know they're doing something ambitious here. I would give it a pass if it was just like the open or world environment parts, every random forest and stuff. But yeah. And the combat one, I will say, like during those like freeze ups, I couldn't like change items or anything. There was one part where it didn't freeze up that bad, and I didn't record it. The frame rate dipped so low, I was having to mash buttons to make it register my input for about a 10-second stretch of combat. I was, what?
Wait, the game froze when you're fighting? Is that what you're
that's
saying?
in the review footage.
Oh, okay.
But this wasn't freezing. This was something else. Like, the frame rate got so low, and the performance there was so much performance issue. I was trying to mash the sword button to swing.
Oh my god!
And he wouldn't draw the sword. He kept walking. He was walking, wouldn't draw the sword, and then like he finally drew it and it, like came out slow. I was like, oh,
yikes!
what?
Yikes!
Like, what?
It's frustrating. Because I might get a lot of heat for saying this, I suppose, but
Say it.
Let it out.
playing Breath of the Wild, I have this huge smile on my face, and I'm like, holy shit. They have so many ideas. There is something here. I feel a desire to play this all of the time because you are constantly wowing me. I wish you had the tech behind you to have full justice of these ideas.
Yeah.
And but this is not the first time this has happened, okay? Playing Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, I'm like, you've got an amazing world. I just want more power. Xenoblade Chronicles X, similar situation. Skyward Sword, similar situation. And Nintendo makes amazing games. I think we're all comfortable saying how much we love Breath of the Wild. Not to make go ahead.
Was Resident Evil Remake and 0 and 4 just a flash in the pan, or was like
No.
GameCube
GameCube
really
was
powerful,
Yeah,
right?
GameCube was a powerhouse.
When they broke them apart.
Beautiful.
Original Xbox was the most powerful graphically, then GameCube, then PS2.
Yeah.
And GameCube was really close to Xbox, so
And it's like,
they were at
why-
parity.
Then why after that are they...
Because GameCube did so poorly, they needed an answer, and they went with Wii. And Wii was just like a slightly more powered GameCube with motion controls.
It's just I don't understand the like lack of tech jump from GameCube to Wii.
Pricing.
From Wii to Wii. Hashtag business, but like it's ridiculous.
The important part of this argument is not, oh man, I want everything to look like I just want it to serve the game.
I just don't want my shit to chop.
I want the technology and the ideas to match up, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
when I'm playing, say, Shovel Knight, I'm not going, oh, I wish this looked like Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's very clearly going for a very different scope, and that's great, and it's not distracting me when I'm playing. But when I'm getting those moments where the game is just freezing, or very clearly isn't up to the technical snuff of the scope and scale that it's trying to present, that's where the disconnect comes in. That's where the issue comes in.
Because Breath of the Wild looks beautiful.
It
I
does.
love the way
right.
it looks.
And it should be commended for how it looks, because the style that
Oh
they
my
chose.
god, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Love the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's the first game I've smelled.
All
I
right.
smell the grass.
What did you smell specifically? Grass?
Smell the grass, baby.
Okay.
Just Hyrule Field.
Baked
Just
apples.
smell it. The
Oh.
sun shining.
Yeah.
Something I want to talk about specifically with you is the way towns feel.
Oh god.
Because
I know.
how it's hit me is
I know.
you will.
It's Dragon Quest 8 levels of magic. Disneyland Dragon Quest 8 vibes.
I feel like the individual personalities of each of the townsfolk
Yeah.
are really well done.
Yep.
They feel
Feels alive.
alive, and the use of music is great. Very sparse, but
yes,
the
yes.
little piano as you're going out and
When you're a
exploring,
little away too, it's like quieter.
Yes.
And then you get in the heart of the city, it's like full boom, full blast.
it adds so much to the atmosphere of what's going on.
I know.
I
know.
Flip side of that, stables all look the same.
All look the
all
same.
of them look exactly the
If they had
same.
just
Yeah.
tweaked some stables to make
Like
them
could
have their
have
own-
3 different designs
have 3 different designs
for stables,
Yeah.
and I would fine.
Like maybe the one in the freaking wilderness will have more fur everywhere.
Yeah, like
I
have
don't
a
know.
log cabin one, have like a plain wood one.
Log
have,
cabin?
Yeah, like just different styles, maybe to fit the region that they're in better, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like a stable, like where Goron runs it, or something like that, depending on the region.
So, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you, but it hasn't. That is not something that is stuck out to me as I'm playing, because there are times where I'll really need a stable.
Oh, Ben,
and I'll look at.
you're just like halfway through, buddy.
I know. I still have a long way to go.
Maybe
I
it's
do.
like
I
maybe
do.
it's like a Target situation or a Walmart
Well,
where it's like, all right, all
yeah.
these stables are owned by the same company.
On a more practical level, there will be times where I'll like be in my telescope and I'll see that it's distinct horse head of a stable and be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's what it is. And so it's kind of been very functional for me
Yeah.
in a way that I've appreciated, because I do think the towns are very distinct. And
That's my
memorable.
problem with it, because everything in that game is distinct.
Sure. I get what you're saying. I do. I really do.
Man, those towns.
I mean, these are all like nitpicks of mine,
Sure.
kind of thing. Like I understand why they didn't do it or whatever.
Hylian homeowner.
Oh my.
Have you done it, Ben?
No.
Do you have the quest?
No.
It's in like the first town.
Second down.
What do you want me to
Second
say, man? I
town.
don't have it. I'm going to go seek it out now.
all right.
Is it in Hotno Village?
Yes.
Okay.
It's right there.
Gotta do
It's
it.
my 2 favorite things of all time in video games, Ben. It's player housing and economy, all masterfully woven into one.
I will do this.
God, it's
I
so
will do
good.
this tonight.
Okay.
I will do this tonight.
All right.
Are we ready to move on from Breath of the Wild? Is there anything else we want
Didn't
to
you guys
say?
want to talk about amiibos?
That's different.
We're talking about something else.
Please be excited.
Please be
We
excited.
need Jones.
Oh,
need Jones for this.
Yeah,
Cool.
Jones.
Cool. There's a
insisted
little
to be-
tease.
Jones insisted to be on
Cool.
it.
Yeah.
Was that a spoiler? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, cool.
Way
I
to
told
go,
people- no,
Huber.
Sorry.
No, people know that that's
Okay,
next
cool.
episode. Yeah,
Cool,
no worries.
Cool.
You're in the good.
Okay.
Damiani, have you been playing anything else besides Breath of the Wild?
I checked out the new update for Fire Emblem Heroes because they
Let's talk about this.
didn't really do much. Let's just say that. I asked chat today to help me understand the new inherit skill system, which supposedly lets you inherit skills from other characters. So if you get a trash character, a low star character, you can take their skill, the ability to learn their unique skills,
Right.
and add it to another character. So
Reminds me of Neo.
I was directed to a Reddit thread because it is so complicated with so many different rule sets that there's no simple answer for how actually works in the game other than what I just told you. That's like the baseline, but actually practically doing it with anyone, you got to check this Reddit thread for the guidelines and stuff because it's actually pretty deep
the
and complicated,
guidelines.
which is stupid because you don't really need it. Like, I literally finished all of the missions on lunatic difficulty yesterday. There's like 2 more I had. Done. Nothing else more difficult in the game left.
So would you theorize that the inherent skill functionality is for arena optimization?
Probably for arena optimization, so if you want to do the expert, like keep winning experts and place higher to get a better reward at the end of the season. But no single character I've seen has 3 tiers of skills. There's like the A, B, C slot. You only get 2 of those, I think. And I haven't read the Reddit thread, so I'm hoping that this lets you fill in. Like if you have an A and C skill, you can get a B skill finally for that and have 3 unique skills active at any time. I'm also hoping for characters that are either max level or have learned all their skills. It's a way to spend their SP essentially, because I have some characters sitting on like several hundred SP with nothing doing with it. And be nice to be able to inherit new skills and like power them up even more. But nothing in the game really demands that other than probably like the arena duels, and even then I don't necessarily, there's a lot of RNG involved with that. I don't.
Sure.
This will just probably make it so you would probably never die. So if you were competent, you'd always win. And again, those aren't multiplayer. It's the asynchronous stuff where you fight their other team. And even the voting stuff they added like 2 weeks ago is some random. It's like March Madness. Support your favorite character. Fight a match, win. You get to allocate points towards that hero, and if they get enough points at the end of the time frame, they win overall and advance to the next round. I was like,
It was so lopsided, though.
yeah.
Who's the favorite?
It was
Marth.
Lucina.
It was Lucina actually. Yeah, I picked Elika. Yeah, didn't win.
Where was Marth?
I picked Lucina.
What about Roy?
Okay, so you won.
Got some nice.
You got some nice
You got some nice
Only
stuff.
ones I know.
That's all I know.
All right, you got some nice stuff. They have been adding a lot of side mission stuff though. The Paralogs and the Xenolog was one of them.
Xenolog.
It just it meant the characters from another world have no. I don't know. It was
Character from another world.
no. That's the whole game.
That's the whole
heroes.
Oh yeah.
But it's if they keep adding those like every month or something or close to that, I'd come back and play for another 5 minutes to do those missions. But
they've been adding paralogs pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And that, despite how relatively straightforward they are, it's something I appreciate because it's a good way of getting orbs if you've done all the difficulties of the
those
stories.
and those special missions when they give you here's the 3 one,
Yep.
and you can do the hard and normal
Yep.
one, 6 free orbs
Yep.
for you right today. I'm thinking about the point though where I'm just gonna check out the new content updates,
Right.
do what they do, and move on. Like there's,
Sure.
I don't have the time sync part anymore because the difficulties have all been cleared.
It's not something I'm playing very seriously. It's something that I'm playing as I'm waiting in line or waiting for another ally to do something or whatever like that. And so maybe this is just applicable to how I'm playing, and maybe more dedicated people feel very differently than I do. But based on how I've been playing, I think they've been giving me enough avenues to get orbs that I am regularly able to summon and try to get what I want in a pretty satisfying loop for how I play. And so I do commend them for that. I don't feel like they're being incredibly stingy on giving you the currencies that you need.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that it's stingy eventually is the stamina cost still sucks.
Sure.
And that can be replenished with orbs. And because it's a gacha game, people who want specific heroes, like you're gonna, if you really want them, as many orbs as I got, and I could have seen how I could easily burn through all those and still not have who I wanted to have. The person spent what $1,000 and still only get Hector. So I mean, it's like, come on. That's just the nature of the game. And again, I do think it's good to play in short bursts. It's free, so you can go get it and try out Fire Emblem. But if you like what you see there and you want something more than that, you need to go play any one of the other Fire Emblem games.
Yes, and that's something I want to comment on.
Yes.
Because right as Fire Emblem Heroes was coming out, I was reminded that, I haven't finished Conquest or Revelations yet. And I had only finished Birthright of the Fates trilogy. And I played Heroes kind of exclusive for like a week. And then I went and I played Conquest, and I was like, it's not even close. I understand that there are very obvious reasons for that, but it just made me want Echoes that much more, and especially the Switch Fire Emblem. that much more. They're just. Have you played Fates?
I have the
What do I
whole
have-
collection set.
What do I have to do?
No, you have to do
play-
anything.
what
I'm
do I have to
eventually
do?
going to get to it.
You
I
are?
love Fire Emblem. Yeah.
What's
I'll
the timeline like?
I mean, I'm.
2017.
I actually didn't. No, I did
Stormblood
actually.
is gonna throw a wrench.
No, I did actually mean to play it over December. Not all through it, but like play it as one of the whole a whole day playthrough of just one of it from my like holiday streaming. I just forgot to grab the 3DS, the capture thing at the time, and people wanted other games to be picked. I think by this holiday, if I haven't played by this holiday, I'm just gonna sit down all right, I'm playing through at least one of these whole campaigns till the end.
Hey, wait, is
I
that
love
the
Fire Emblem,
first
man.
3DS
Oh, I
one?
know you do.
No, Awakening is the first one you're
okay.
thinking
Never
of.
mind.
Yeah.
The one I need to play.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, if you haven't played Awakening, get
Awakening is such a good entry point for this series.
play Awakening. That one's manageable.
Damiani, anything else you've been playing?
Trying to think. I mean, there's so many games I want to be playing, and I'm waiting till the end of next week to be done. Which would be, I'll give them some love because maybe this will prompt some of you to talk about them. I definitely need to play through Horizon. I was waiting for Nier PC. I downloaded it, haven't started it yet, so that's sitting on my Steam account waiting to go. And then what was the other one that I wanted to play? I mean, I definitely play Ukulele next month when it comes out, and there's another big game coming out next month.
I keep forgetting that
That's
Ukulele
next month.
comes out and I want to play it.
That's next month. And there's a huge game that doesn't need any introduction that I think all of us will be playing at some point next month as well.
Oh yeah.
And
Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5.
I think that's this month.
All these games, that's still this month. All these games still coming out.
Couldn't even get the joke right.
It's okay, we got it.
All right.
We know.
Came
We
through.
know.
We know. All right. Bradley Ellis, what have you been playing?
Zelda. That took a lot of time, obviously.
Sure.
Because I finished it.
Yeah.
And I just finished today Specter of Torment,
Yes, you did, Brad.
the second add-on to Shovel Knight.
Brad, did you have a good time
I
with
had-
Specter of Torment?
Then I had an amazing time.
Would you say to Michael Huber and Michael Damiani that this 4-hour DLC is very well made and very worth their time?
I'm going to say this. Yacht Club Games is one of the best devs around right
It's in the
now.
biz.
Boom.
One of the best.
The reason I haven't played it
Boom.
is because I never played Plague Knight.
Guess what? This is a prequel to
I know.
everything.
Do
But I want to go in order.
Do you think
I just didn't play Plague Knight. It passed me by.
you will watch Iron Fist before you play?
I'm going to be personally offended if you watch
No,
that.
I will not. I just finished Zelda.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you a hard
I
time.
just finished Zelda.
Giving you a hard time.
I want to go back and do Plague Knight and then Spectre of Torment.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, something I want to call out is you never take the easy way. And, it's not even an insult. It's, a good thing. You're like, if I'm going to I'm going to play all the Kingdom Hearts games. And then you go and you play all the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm going to play this other Shovel Knight DLC.
If I say I'm going to play something, I do it.
You do. You're a man of your word. You take the high road.
Sometimes it takes a long time, though.
Yeah, but it
gets
gets
does.
done.
But it
in
usually
the end.
gets done.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I forgot something, Brad.
Oh.
It comes out next Tuesday.
Oh, it's on out yet.
Gravity Rush DLC.
Oh, it's
So
on Tuesday.
Next
yeah.
Tuesday. The Raven.
Hold on a second, Damiani.
Chat was reminding me, Damiani, we're getting that
Gravity
stream
Rush
next.
2?
The
DLC.
Raven
Yeah.
mission, the story.
Hype.
Is next Tuesday.
Do you know what else comes out this month that we've all forgotten?
what else? Ben?
The Dark Souls 3 DLC comes out.
It's out this month? I thought it was next month.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
this
it's
month.
March.
It's like the 24th or 20th.
I thought it was April.
No, it's this month.
Get
Oh,
wrecked. All of us
baby.
get wrecked.
March, baby.
Oh,
March Madness.
And-
yeah.
MLB The Show 17. Get ready.
Here we go.
It'll probably be really good.
We're gonna play. I'm
it's
gonna,
gonna
I'm
get
gonna
it.
bring it to stream. We're gonna do before the group stream for an hour. I want to bring it, and we play the retro mode. I think people will love it.
Brad, I want to apologize to you. You were trying to talk about
Yeah,
Spectre of
sorry.
Torment.
Yeah, please.
going.
Oh, I mean,
Enlighten
I,
us.
I liked where it was going, dude.
Okay.
Reminded me of Dark Souls 3, and Spectre of Torment. What I like about these expansions is they all play really different than
Yes.
Shovel Knight. Like, they're not carbon copies, which I was originally afraid of. Kind of playing the same. Like, Spectre, his toolkit is so much fun.
It's the best.
The wall run is incredible. The dash is obviously the best.
It's
the
like,
strike.
It's like the 2D Ninja Gaiden sequel.
Yes.
We've wanted for a long time.
Yes, that's a great way to look at it.
Yes.
It's taking all the like the Mega Man aspect, kind of like going through like the stages and everything like that. The combat's like Ninja Gaiden. Oh,
the other thing that I want
to me.
Commend them for is I feel like they did a better job retooling the levels for Specter Knight's Toolkit than they did for Plague Knight and his Toolkit. I think,
way better now.
I think these remixed levels are more interesting.
Feels like kind of like a new game almost.
Yeah, absolutely. The hub is fantastic.
Yeah, I do love the hub. It's very different, very cool. Has a bunch of fun characters in there as always. I love the story of this DLC also.
Yes, you do.
Like there's flashbacks going on that tell of Specter Knight and how he becomes Specter Knight.
So hype.
I think it might be the best storytelling.
Yeah.
And the best methods that they've used. The way that it culminates is.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You're seeing Yacht Club improve as developers on like every single addition to this game.
Right.
And it's incredible.
Whatever full game they come out with
whatever game
next,
they're going, I'm buying.
It's going to just be like scorched earth, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've really I think Yacht Club Games just deserves just a tremendous round of applause. Not only did they have an incredible crowdfunding campaign, they made a great game that lived up to all the promises. They've supported it with wonderful DLC. They're probably not gonna hear this, but they're one of the good ones for sure.
One of the greats.
And the co-op mode we played briefly was cool too.
Yep.
Just a cool little add-on to it, man.
The body swap mode.
The body swap mode is really
all
great.
All of these things that they didn't have to do, but they just kept adding and adding and making
they
it
were
better,
stretch
and giving
goals.
you more. Oh.
For their Kickstarter, I believe.
All of them?
I think most of them, yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm.
But here's the thing. Here's
I'm
the thing with
giving
Kickstarters, though. They delivered on their promise,
They did.
first of all, and it's very good.
Yes.
Like, I would not be let down by giving money to these people.
Sure.
In fact, I bought the game 4 times, for God's sake, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Brett, it means so much to me that you loved it as much as I did.
Yeah,
And
love
that
it.
you're having a similar response. Was there anything that you didn't like with Specter of Torment?
The only thing I kind of wish they had was the world map.
Sure.
That's like my only grab I can think of at the moment kind of thing. Because he had like different like ability, like some of his moves are very similar to Shovel Knight's, especially the abilities you buy like that. But he still played different enough for me to like not really affect it. But just going like on the world map is really cool like that.
Definitely. There was one complaint that I was thinking of, and it hasn't really left me. I think, as we described, his toolkit is really fun. The running up walls, the vertical slash, and how they use that for you to do both vertical and horizontal aerial movement. All of that is really satisfying. But with the wall run in particular, there were a lot of times where it seemed a little finicky, where I'd be like, oh, no, I didn't mean to wall run. I just kind of got close to this wall, and you started doing the animation and things like that. It seemed like maybe that could be ironed out a little bit, so you had just a bit more control
I feel
over
like
it.
I only had that problem like the first stage or maybe 2.
Okay,
Then I just like adapted to it, I guess.
All right, so
I
you're
could
just-
see that though.
So you're just much better at it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. I think that might be it. Okay.
I mean, I died quite a bit in this. A lot of pitfall deaths. I mean, that's like Shovel Knight though. That's usually how you die in that
didn't
game.
die once.
Oh yeah.
No, it's a lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
No death run.
So Specter of Torment, Brad, what else do you got for us?
I've been slowly chipping away. I just played it again a little this week. Nier, the original Nier on PS3.
Brad, it's like
This is a weird.
You're
like,
making me
oh
so
my
happy
God.
with every word that's coming out of your mouth.
This game is so weird and great and stupid and bad at the same time.
Yep.
Like, so much of it is terrible, but I still like it.
So Nier is kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around, I think, especially in total. But what is sticking out to you specifically? Kind of going through it for the first time. What is calling out to you in both a very great and very terrible way?
What's calling out to me is how bizarre this game is.
What do you mean by that? What's bizarre about it?
Like, the story is insane. Like, I don't want to spoil like certain moments, but you start in one thing, then you're in like a complete different thing. I'm like, am I playing a different game right now?
Yeah.
The characters you run into are literally insane characters. Like, one of them's wearing a nightgown like the entire game. Apparently, there's like a reason why. I don't know why yet.
Yeah.
Like the town I went to, there's a certain town they have like a bunch of weird ass rules.
Yeah.
And you have to follow them to like be able to buy items. Like I forgot one of the rules and I couldn't figure out how to buy an item or something like that. It's like, this is insane.
They have this, yeah. So it's sort of this tribal village in the middle of the desert, and they have thousands and thousands and thousands of rules, and the rules will contradict each other. It'll be like, oh, rule 15,000 doesn't line up with rule 14,000. We need to seek counsel on how to deal with this specific thing, and it's kind of just a fun little aside. Brad, you were talking about Kaine and how she's kind of dressed in this revealing outfit. Do you remember when Hideo Kojima said, "You will doubt your words and deeds"?
Yes.
You'll be ashamed.
You'll be ashamed. You'll be ashamed. Yes, thank you for that correction. You're right. You'll be ashamed of your words and deeds. So, with that said, I was kind of waiting for the moment where there was sort of this big revelation that never came. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that happens in both the original Nier and Automata. Automata happens in Nier Automata, where you will sort of settle into a character and you'll be like, this is who they are, this is how they express themselves, and then a long time will pass and then things will turn on their head and you'll view them in a totally different light.
It's like,
it's such a
but it's
satisfying
not like I'm even like concerned or mad about it. I'm just like, oh, that's kind of strange. Oh well, this is the game.
Sure.
This is what they're going for. Whatever, that's fine.
I would argue though that you're not quite at the biggest
I'm not.
revelations.
I'm not.
I can't wait for you to get there.
Like I just went through like a temple where I have to do like dumb challenges to go through like certain rooms. Like, hey, don't jump in this one. But everything has like a really stupid and bizarre name for like your abilities.
Yep.
They're like rolling jumping rabbit. Like, can't use that. I'm like, what the hell is that? And it's just jump. I'm like, what?
Yeah. How do you think the game plays?
Gameplay is like shit. The combat sucks in Nier.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Yep.
It's so bad. The game is ugly as hell too.
Yep.
It looks like a PS2 game, maybe. Like, not even up-res.
Yep.
It's just widescreen. It's so ugly. The ugliest character model I've ever seen in my life is the main character of that game.
Sure.
The ugliest character I've ever seen in my life. Hideous.
Sure.
But apparently in the Japanese version, he looks different.
So here's what happened. The Japanese release of Nier, there were two versions. If you played on PS3, you got Nier Replicant, where you played as a much, much, much younger, better-looking version of the main character, who was a brother to Yona. Whereas if you played on 360, you played as this
dad,
his
the
father.
dad, right?
Right. And so in North America, the 360 version in Japan was called Gestalt. That is the only version that we got.
Why? Why did they give us the worst one?
Oh, there's an answer.
Oh.
Please.
Because they thought that kind of character
Yeah,
would
exactly.
appeal more to Western.
Big buff.
Dude, he looks so
Like
stupid.
War,
He looks so
mid-2000s.
stupid. He looks terrible. Oh my god.
Yeah. Playing to the market.
I like how you said, Brad. It looked like a PS2 game.
It does.
Because
Is it?
I think at one point I said when I was playing through it originally, I said, if this game came out during PS2 era, this would be a masterpiece right now. Like, we would be talking about this game nonstop. But Cavia, sadly, released it, Square Enix, during the PS3 era and 360.
But I'm all in.
You're all
I'm
in.
all in.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm all in.
So, Brad, another thing that Nier does that I'm curious to get your opinion on is it just switches genres at certain points.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with stuff being really weird and zany out of nowhere.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right. I want to, when you finish Nier, I want to have another check.
Yeah. What's the director of this game?
Yoko Taro.
This guy is a maniac.
He was a maniac.
And I love it. I love that he's a maniac.
Did you know that Nier is part of the Drakengard time?
Someone said that to me. I was like, "Are you insane? Like, are you kidding me?"
When you find out how it connects, it's even more insane.
I just remember Drakengard 1 though. That's the one I played.
Sure. Drakengard 1 is a interesting game because it also does not hold up or play very well, but
I don't think it played very well when it came out.
Sure, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It did
I
not-
had it.
yes.
I bought it.
Yes.
I was like, oh.
And that was the response of a lot of people where they played it.
Yeah.
They didn't do the whole multiple ending things. And
Yeah.
like, this just doesn't play very good. Fuck
Yeah.
this. And they moved on. But it, like Nier, has some really interesting...
Yeah.
I would also argue Drakengard 1 is the darkest game that he's made. And all of his games are pretty dark.
No,
to some degree.
I mean, I love his vision or whatever. I love that he's just crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy now that Nier Automata
Automata. Yes.
he got like a bigger budget for it. Looks like a bigger budget game, and he's got a great
True
like
vision.
combat developer with him.
Yeah.
Creator's intent.
Can I
Creator's intent, yeah.
can I leapfrog off of your Nier discussion
Please.
into
Please.
Automata? I said in the review, and I stand by this, that this is the first Yoko Taro game where I feel like you don't have to make excuses for it. Like when you're trying to tell your friends about it, you don't have to say, well,
You're like, well, this
part's
all really
terrible.
sucks, but
No.
this is cool.
And what's great is all of these smart things, all of the Yoko Taro insanity and intelligence is very much present, but it doesn't feel like a retelling of Nier. It doesn't feel like it's trying to recapture Nier into a better game.
Mm-hmm.
It is both a better game and going in a different direction that is equally
Awesome.
valuable and
Awesome.
equally
Great.
amazing. The combat in Nier Automata is so good for an open world game where you're running around and then all of a sudden you slide into a sea of robots and you have that platinum combat where you're doing just absolutely incredible things. I mean, you're doing like three flips in the air, you're sticking your sword on your shoe, you're swinging at enemies, and it feels so good. You don't have to think about it. It's intuitive when you're doing all these incredible things. You get a giant digital hammer that you send crashing down on your foes.
Love it.
It's fucking great.
Sounds like Bayonetta 2.
But the thing that I want to talk about that I maybe didn't quite capture in the review is Nier, the original Nier, is very much about this sort of story of misfits that comes together, and they form this bond and they go on this journey and they figure more about the world around them. Nier Automata is not that. There are no humans.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is how well they use that concept. Because you have these machines that are mimicking human behavior, and then you have these androids that are mimicking human behavior and look very much like humans, but their quirks, their personalities are odd enough that seeing them try to mimic this and like understand each other is fascinating. It feels both kind of sad and really endearing, and it's something that I haven't seen a lot of games do really well. A lot of sci-fi games do really well, and that in and of itself is a pretty amazing thing. I feel like there are so many games that I enjoy that I come on Frame Trap and I play through and I talk about and I go, "Oh, that was a good time," or "I thought this character was fun." Nier is kind of what I wanted Metal Gear Solid 5 to be, where I thought, based on the trailers of what I saw with Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm like, nope, Kojima has something to say, and he's going to execute it on a way that there's really going to be some meat to chew on here. And I remember finishing Metal Gear Solid 5 and feeling pretty empty, feeling pretty like, man, that was a hell of a ride. I loved it, but I'm not really thinking about it in the way that I expected. Finishing Nier Automata, I also felt empty. But I felt empty because, like, the game emotionally drained me. That what it was talking about and how it was talking about it, like, I'll be thinking about that right up until Game of the Year.
Ben, this is like the craziest thing for you to say to me, because at the point in Nier right now where I am,
Sure.
that seems like that could never happen.
It happens. It happens. And I think it happens in Nier as well, but because I think what Nier talks about and how it talks about it is good, but it's just the clunkiness of that game and how it's presented and how it's structured. It's just not as good as it is in Automata. Whereas there's more of a flow, and so I think it has a little bit more of a punch to it.
Yeah.
It gets to you because it's just a better game.
Yeah. Well, I haven't finished it yet either, and I don't have all the endings, and I know that matters big time.
It does.
So
It does. It's just I really would like other allies to play it and see if it resonates with them as strongly as it did with me. Because I know that story and meaningful characters they matter to you. And the other thing that I want to talk about with Automata, though, and I also mentioned about this in the review, is I don't like it when games explore this territory and they like get in your face and they're like, yo, think about this, man. Isn't this so serious? Wow. And it's just, you have these really long cutscenes that feel so forced and unnatural. That doesn't happen here. It feels very aware of itself, and it kind of just gives you these powerful thoughts in short bursts. In between, it has a really good sense of humor to kind of counterbalance that.
Great.
And so it makes it a super smooth ride because it's not leaning too heavily in either direction. And that matters a lot. I think Yakuza does a great job of that as well.
We have to talk about it on every frame trap for the rest of the year.
We have to talk about Yakuza
We have to talk about
for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm sorry that I hijacked
Oh,
your,
no, dude, I
your
loved
Nier-
it. I loved
Nier
it.
Thing, but can I just get a... I don't know why, but I'm so passionate about these games. Are you going to play Nier Automata?
Yes.
Are you going to play it?
No, Ben, I'm just going to quit after playing
Are
one.
you going to play it?
100%.
All right, I'm marking down Huber, Brad. Damiani.
100%, Ben.
Brad, is there anything else you've been playing? I won't interrupt
One
this
brief
time.
game. Played with Huber. Shock Troopers.
Shock Troopers.
Little Neo Geo game.
Hell yeah.
Played it on the Switch at Mike's house. Like the quintessential Switch
Yeah,
experience.
like on the table. Each have a Joy-Con.
Yeah. Playing it. Pretty much arcade shooter, you know.
Yeah.
Two
Metal Slug vibes.
army people. Yeah, Metal Slug, but more
like-
of like an isometric kind of angle going through it.
Yeah.
It's exactly like Metal Slug, actually.
Yeah.
But just not
Great
as good.
game.
It's not as good.
Sounds good.
It's not as good. Calm down.
But it's really good.
But it's fun. It's fun.
It's worth a playthrough.
It's
$8.
worth a playthrough, yeah.
It's worth it.
Like, there's not a lot of Switch games out there yet, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
I want to talk about how amazing the Switch is. Just like playing it. Like
like we did yesterday.
I have played this Switch in like every setting. I have played it. I played Zelda on the big screen. I would take it into bed at night and play in bed with headphones.
I played in bed last night.
And it is incredible. I played with Brad Shock Troopers, just like that style.
We played Snipper Clippers yesterday.
Yep.
Just like waiting around for people.
And then I played a little Zelda outside. I went to Hatano Village. Is that what it's called? Hatoro Village?
I say
Hateno.
hot no.
Hot no. Yeah.
Hatano Village? Dude, Hatano Village soundtrack while sitting outside with a cool breeze hitting your face. Highly recommend it. I was
Highly
blown away.
recommended.
I was blown away.
This might sound strange, but I don't often get to see you kind of...
Embracing a handheld?
Well, that. And, when we play games, it's usually in a very cooperative or competitive setting.
Yeah.
But we were waiting on something. I don't remember what it was, but you brought the Switch and you were playing Zelda. And you were just snuggled up in that chair with headphones in.
Yeah.
You had this big smile on your face. You were doing some shrines. And so the concept of the Switch is working for you guys.
It is working
You
big
like
time.
it. Do you feel more confident about the future of this thing than you did before?
Yeah, I mean, it's launch, so the tech part of it is not too far behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's behind, but I'm worried about how far the gap is going to be.
What we're going to
especially
look
when,
like in 3 years.
Yeah, especially when Scorpio comes out, that powerhouse. The Switch graphics in 2018, might be cause for concern, but right now it's great.
Um,
I'm already concerned. Zelda
Yeah,
ran
I'm already
bad.
concerned. I'm already concerned, so it's only going to get worse.
Switch Pro.
do you think, just trying to continue the conversation here, that with certain games, depending on what they are, the idea of feeling that cool breeze on your face outside will make you gravitate toward the Switch version than another version? Do you think that's possible, or?
If it looks and runs the same, probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the chief thing, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you'll
I mean,
consider
if it's
everything else
if it's a noticeable downgrade, either in performance or visuals, noticeable. If it looks a little worse, but I get to, take it with me on the go,
Yeah.
or then I'll eat that little.
But why no
Dip.
achievements yet? Why? Why still? Why, Nintendo? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not hard to do.
It's funny because I think, I finished Zelda and then I put it on the shelf. I think if there were achievements, I may have had incentive to.
It's like they're a silly little
stick
thing, but people
around.
like doing them.
Yeah.
Like, I like doing them.
I mean, I think if you play video games and you can't admit to yourself that on some fundamental level you enjoy checking things off on a list, you're lying to yourself, because we can reduce most of it to that, right? And so
beating a game is
checking
it
something off.
off.
the
yeah,
list, yeah.
right. That is that's inherent to just so many of the experiences. Has battery life been an issue for you with the Switch?
Not yet. I haven't really taken a like long travel, I guess, maybe.
I think
where
it's
I've
really
where
good.
I've been playing it for like 5 hours straight or something like that yet. But we'll see, I guess.
I think it's been good.
So it sounds like, if I were to sum this up from Michael Huber and Bradley Ellis, tentatively optimistic.
Yeah.
Way more optimistic than I was on Wii U.
I've already used the Switch, like, for what it's set out to do, you know? Like, taking it off and playing like that, or playing in bed, or playing it on the go. I've already used it for what it wants me to use it for,
Yeah.
more than Wii U. Wii U, every time I, like, turn that sucker on, I was like,
Well,
plug in the motion sensor, this thing, adapter, like 9 peripherals, plug everything in.
there's another thing that I really want to commend the Switch for that I can't sing the praises of loudly enough is the Wii U was a cumbersome piece of shit when it came to just doing anything. Getting into the shop, booting up the interface, switching over, like, the Switch just goes.
the
You're just
OS
like,
is
I want to
the
do
OS
this,
is fast.
and I'm doing it. And the operating system being as fast as it is so nice.
It's good.
It's like
Especially
Nintendo.
keeping it in sleep mode feels good.
Oh, yeah.
You pop
Totally.
it up, you hit that button 3 times,
Boom.
you're back into the game. Yep. Damiani, you're being a little quiet over there. What do you think about the Switch overall?
I was being quiet because I felt like I've spoken so much about it in the past.
Oh,
I want to
sure.
let other people have a chance.
Absolutely. Sorry, I wasn't trying to call you
no,
out.
no,
That
no.
might have sounded a little bit more aggressive.
At this point, I mean, the only thing different I'd say at this point is I feel more now that the dock is a piece of trash.
Yes,
I
the
really-
dock is a piece of trash.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
right about
I
that.
hope they do something soon about that thing, like a new version or something, because I do not like the dock, and I
Yes.
have to use it to play TV mode. That is what is just eating at me.
Opening the back and trying to like plug shit in there, like HDMI, because
And you're-
I have like in my setup, you know, everyone's setup is different. I have like one HDMI cable that I use for whichever console I'm using, you know, to like swap it in and out, which is a pain in the ass, but it's just the hand I've been dealt, you know, so like having to like get it in there, it's kind of annoying.
I also feel, and nothing has happened. I haven't had my Switch scratched up by putting it in the dock or anything. But I will say, every time I put it in the dock, I'm like, this doesn't feel as like safe.
It doesn't,
as
it's just like, I'm like nervous.
yeah. And that thought creeps up every time I do it. And again, no issues, but still, that anxiety shouldn't be there to begin
Yeah.
with.
But on the flip side, when I have it undocked and I'm playing with it,
Yes.
I'm chill.
Yes.
It is way more durable, and I feel a lot more confident and secure in keeping it clean because I have major OCD with my system and games. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I remember your
wipe-
PSP.
I wipe my things down with a diaper. That's how
a diaper?
a diaper. My mom gave me a diaper to like because it's
I
a
just
soft
use a microfiber cloth.
it's a soft surface.
Yeah, why don't you just use that?
I got my diaper.
Why you gotta be some maniac?
Because because
Diaper man.
Yeah, because you cleaning things with diapers. It's a safe surface.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
They just
'Cause
they
it has
make
a little-
cloths that are.
So it has a little. The diaper has a little extra oomph to it to like get off any kind
You
of.
know, I shouldn't knock it
I'm
before
not
I
even
try
joking.
it.
I'm not even trolling.
Should I try the diaper?
You should.
I need diaper fan art
Yeah.
immediately.
I will show you my diaper.
Please bring it to the 1 year
I'm all about
anniversary and present it.
stats and efficiency.
Bring him like
I don't
a
play
pack of
fashion
Pampers
souls
or something.
This guy over here, fashion souls, reducing stats to look better in a game.
I
That's
don't
not
need
me.
them. I don't need the
Hey,
stats.
there's nothing wrong with the play how you want to play.
Yeah.
Glamour is a true
Wipe
end
with
game.
what you want to wipe with.
Jesus. Oh no, that one's not going away.
Rocking that diaper, baby. But the real point was that anytime I had my Vita, I was concerned. Anytime I took a Vita anywhere, I'm alarmed. I'm concerned.
Well, you're holding glass. in
You're
your hand.
holding glass. It's getting fingerprints everywhere. Like the thing is
Oh, yeah.
fragile. The battery
Switch is
life wasn't
plastic.
that great. The Switch undocked feels safe. Feels good.
It's a good weight. It's a
Good
good
weight.
size. It's, yeah, it's good.
Playing a diaper.
Brad, do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we move on?
No, I'm good.
All right, Michael Huber.
I need those stats, Brad. All right. I'm willing to sacrifice the way I look in a game.
Hey man,
I need the stat buff.
just keep it with the diaper, all right? Can I ask
That's
what diaper?
why-
Can I ask what type of diaper you use?
It was my mom gave me it.
Okay.
because she knows how OCD I am with wiping shit down.
Well,
and
it's because you got it from her.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
Have you just been using this one diaper for like 10 years?
No. I have multiple, and I wash them, and I have other cloths too. I have like glasses.
Are you using cloth diapers?
Yeah, it's cloth.
So, where do you... I don't know how deep I want to dig into the diaper
Dig
thing.
it. Get your mind out of the gutter.
It's not in the gutter. It's on the diaper.
It's honestly, don't think of it like a fucking baby's diaper. Think of it like think of it literally like a washcloth, but a diaper.
I can just envision you in like a coffee shop,
Yeah.
going and having a fresh brew,
I'm gonna
sitting
tweet
down,
it out.
and
I will tweet out a picture.
you're playing the Switch, and then you're done, and then you're like, you throw away your cup and you go, all right, son.
No, when I take it on the go, I use like a computer monitor cleaner.
Yeah.
The diaper is for home use only. Home use. Yeah, behind closed doors.
Diaper.
Michael Huber, what have you been playing?
I'm gonna tweet out a picture so there's no.
No. I mean, the
There's no
cloth diaper
questions.
makes more sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's.
Sounds some like Pampers, like disposable.
That's what you made it sound like, dude. That's
It's like a permanent.
You're using. Yeah, you go to Baby Aisle, just buy it, and take out a fresh diaper with like
I
teddy
need
bears
some
on
more
it.
screen cleaners.
It's a permanent thing. You can throw it in the wash.
Okay.
I'm telling you, life changing.
Okay.
Wash my TV, like scrub my TV down with it. It's a good service.
Great. I'm glad it's working for you.
Pro tip, honestly.
Yeah.
Use the diaper.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Pro tip.
Highly recommended.
Outside
did.
of your regular cleaning, have you been playing anything?
Zelda took all my time. Phenomenal game. It's Divine Beasta, kind of a letdown.
Yep.
What
were you just playing over there, Huber? A little earlier.
I was playing Gwent still.
Yep.
Really enjoying Gwent. They had made some changes to a couple cards. Still beta, still early days, no campaign yet. Kind of hard to earn packs at this point, you know, you really got to put in the time. Hopefully that gets tweaked. Hopefully when the campaign comes out, you earn a lot of resources. You know, like you commented that there are no daily quests really. There's only one daily thing where it's like win 6 rounds. So that'll take like 3 games minimum because it's 2 rounds a game. If you win 3 games, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, you get that, and that gives you kind of a reward for materials to buy packs. Just seems a little slow right now to earn. Maybe that's by design because it's the beta. They don't want you to like scoop everything up really quick. Yeah, but I think if they add daily quests on top of the win 6 rounds, add that on top of the campaign. You know, I think by the time you go through the campaign and you have all those dailies, I think it'll be a nice starting point. Because right now it's like, start the game, you can play casual until you're rank 10, which takes a while. But it's like, shit, I'm kind of locked into, you know, a very small sample size of cards. So there's not as much flexibility as I'd like to use right at the get-go. You know, because especially starting out, it's like, damn, I kind of want to try and like see what's what.
Right.
But they make it kind of hard to do in the beta.
Right, and being able to see what's what, as you said, would really help you understand what you're up against too, which is so important in a card game.
So, yeah, just that. And then going back to Horizon, trying to finish that off.
The more I play Horizon, the more I like Horizon.
Yeah, the side quests are dog shit. You know, just straight up.
Sure.
You know, especially now coming back from Zelda, like, have more faith in your player base, honestly. It's
What do you
like
mean by
somewhat
that?
insulting. Just like, talk to this person at this exact point to get the quest. Cool. Okay, go to this exact point on the map. Okay, cool. Okay, now that you're there, kill this exact thing. Cool. Okay, now return it back to this exact person. It's so robotic. It's so artificial. It disconnects me from being a part of that world, especially a world that's like, you know, about the wilderness. It's about being in the wild. You know, I lose that feeling of freedom when I'm just artificially talking to a person and going to an exact point on the map and checking it off of a checklist.
Do you think it's fair to call out Horizon specifically though when there's so many games that do this?
So
It's like every.
It is. Even The Witcher, I think about, The Witcher, some of the best moments are those monster hunts. And, you go to a monster hunt and it's like, okay, investigate the area. Pick that up, pick that up, pick that up, And it's like, Zelda is life-changing with those side quests. I absolutely love them. And I love, I think I'm so hard on Horizon right now because side quests, optional quests, should be the things where you give your players freedom. They should be a little more ambiguous to be like, hey, if you want to do this is a little extra challenge. If you want to figure this out and do it, cool. If not, though, we're going to still guide you along on the main story. I think side quests are a perfect place to kind of let the reins off, but more and more they've become padding on video games. They become a place to add filler, add checklist items, and kind of buff your character if you're having trouble on the main quest. I would love it if we got to a point where side quests were harder and more free than the main quest line.
This is kind of a difficult thing for me to digest because I both agree, but I also have to reconcile the fact that a lot of the optional activities in Horizon that I'm doing, I'm enjoying a lot. Going down into those caves,
way different. The cauldrons, those are amazing, of course, but there's just so many other things. Anytime you talk to someone and get a quest, it's so similar. It's like fetch quest or kill quest.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy
the cauldrons are amazing, but there's only like 4 or 5 of them.
Sure. I'm enjoying the hunting as well, and I think the reason why I still haven't reached that point where it's like, all right, time to finish this, is because I like the core of Horizon so much. I'm still enjoying experimenting with different ways of fighting these beasts. And I actually, you were talking about economy and how important that is to you. I actually think the economy in Horizon is pretty good, where if I purchase something big, I'm really committing to that thing. And so I'm spending a lot of time being like, all right, how do I really want to play? What do I want to be limited to? We were talking about Zelda. I think there's kind of a similar push and pull happening here. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and the resource, the expanding your inventory space is extremely expensive, but extremely valuable.
Yeah.
Which I really like. But actually, now that I think about it, maybe not, because you can just... Like, does it matter? I can hold like 30 arrows or 60, but even if I'm holding 30 and I run out, I can basically pause the game and just craft 30 more.
On something basic like arrows, yes, but where I'm at specifically, the piercing arrows, I run out of.
I guess potions is a big one.
Yeah, I run out of like wire really quickly still. Like I'm still running into moments where it's like, I can't quite make the maximum amount of that, or I need to go out in the world and do more things, or I need more money even, scrap. And so I do feel like I'm getting a lot out of the side quest. What I will agree with you, though, is having done a lot of the side quests, it would be hard for me to specifically remember a character moment.
Exactly.
Or have something stick out.
They're so filler. The cauldrons and the hunting lodge stuff is pretty cool, but...
To be fair, though, I also feel that way with Zelda to a large extent. A lot of the side quests that I'm getting, I'm not like, oh, what an amazing character that is. It is pretty straightforward. There certainly are moments. There definitely are characters that I really love in Zelda. But
yeah. I mean, we've said personality like 100 times. I think, though, it fits so much because at least those characters in Zelda have something to them. There's something there, even if it's like surface level the way they look. Like Horizon, it's just like, please,
like robot,
go get me 12 arrows from the town or whatever. Just... I don't know, maybe I'm being a little too critical on it. Kyle Bossman always in the back of my ear because I was talking about, that I'm compelled to do them because they offer a substantial XP bonus. You're getting a lot out of them. And he was like, dude, skip them all. They're not memorable. Like, they're bad.
I definitely think that might be getting in your head, but I also don't want to like sit here and say that you don't have a point because I think you do. I kind of want to always talk about it in a broad scope and try to I don't know. Try to think about it as much as we can.
Yeah, the cauldrons and the hunting lodges are great, and the main quests, of course. I'm enjoying my time incredibly. With
How do you
Horizon.
feel about the story at large?
It just hasn't really got going.
Okay.
You know, I'm like 15 hours in now, maybe a little more. I've like
Okay.
cleared out. I've done again. I'm like completionist.
What level are you?
Like 27.
Okay.
And the main quest I'm on is like 16 or something. I'm like way over leveled as I usually am because I completionist games. I just
Maybe because in
enjoy-
your overleveled state, but something that I really like about Horizon that I haven't commented on yet is it's pretty easy to heal and it's pretty easy to.
it's easy to die.
Yes, that's,
Straight
that's
up,
what I want to talk about.
yeah, I'm level 27 and I get
That's what I want
wrecked
to talk
in like
about.
3 hits.
I think it's so important in a game like this where you run into these towering machines that look and sound so threatening that they actually feel threatening. And I think Horizon does an excellent job without being like frustrating, making you feel like, oh man, I fucked up. There goes 3/4 of my health,
Yeah.
and having that frantic moment in battle where you got to get away
Yeah.
and reposition yourself. I think it does a very good job of that.
Frantic.
Yeah.
Great way to describe combat. It is. Because every battle, you know, every battle you need to pay attention.
Yep.
Which is something you don't really need to do in Zelda. That I'll give a nod. That I'll give a nod to Horizon. Is even random encounters. Just, you know, if the dinos see you, you need to be ready and you need to be alert. Period. Even if it's like low level watchers, because they can mess you up. And even if you have like, you know, because all the armor trade off is really cool too. Because it's like you can have armor that's focused on stealth, but then you can't take a lot of hits. You can have the armor that's focused on like ranged defense, melee defense. Like even if you have the good melee defense armor, you're over leveled, you die in a couple hits. And I really appreciate that. Is that you always need to be on your toes, which further puts an emphasis on stealth, like eliminating as many as you can before shit hits the fan. Is really important to survival.
What would you want to see out of a Horizon Zero Dawn 2?
Better side quests.
So if
More
you
freedom. I know I came off
No, please.
maybe overly aggressive.
no,
but
don't,
I just
don't doubt yourself. Go into it.
I just feel like a game about the wild and surviving in the wilderness and exploration should be less like come here, do this, come here, do this, go there and do that, go there and do that. It should be like let me just kind of flow, and like I haven't had that moment of freedom in this game. It's always been go to the point. Go to the point. Go to the point. Get XP. Level up. You know, go to the point.
You want the chains to be broken a little bit.
Yeah. like maybe I'm just a little spoiled with Breath of the Wild, but I just felt like Breath of the Wild was so free and liberating.
It's good, I think, to have moments like that because maybe if you didn't have that experience with Breath of the Wild, you would kind of be like, well, this is just how it goes. This is how you do this type of game.
Yeah.
And then you run into something where it's like, oh, it doesn't have to be that way, and it changes what you want out of games. Is that what is happening to you now?
Maybe it's such a double-edged sword because I love all games, man. I love all types in every game.
Sure.
It's like there's value to that because then I can kind of go on autopilot. Again, when the battles happen, you have to be alert. But it's still, I'm not going to get lost. I'm not really going to get frustrated. And there is value to that.
Yeah.
So it's just finding that right balance, I guess. I just think the wilderness setting makes me, is
More
really,
aware of it?
Makes me more aware of it, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question for you, though. Do you think that, I don't know, I haven't played it, and I guess no spoilers, but to best of your ability, do you think Horizon's story and narrative elements would have been what they were? And if you feel they're strong and compelling, would they have been that strong and compelling if they gave you more freedom? Because I feel Zelda had to struggle. I think the developers had to struggle and labor to even do the job they did with the story in Zelda to figure out a way, because they even brought up in their making of videos that we can't predict when a player is going to encounter certain elements. How do we deliver a story to them when we can no longer control where they are going?
Totally.
Do you think that's is that a big enough difference you
Maybe
feel between
that's-
Zelda and Horizon, that they did craft this rich story in Horizon that they wanted to be told in a certain way, that if they let you go off and do that, it would have suffered because of that? I feel that might have been the core reason why Horizon went that way and Zelda was able to go a different way with its freedom.
It's a great point, and it's like the we could have a whole discussion on like open world storytelling, but the fact that I'm like doing the side quests is kind of pulling away from that tight main story narrative that they're going for. So it's like conflicting, you know. It's like, do you want me to do these side quests that you put in this game to make me more powerful, or do you just want me to focus on this main story? Yeah.
I mean, the ideal is that it's good either way, right?
Yeah. But I guess I just haven't connected to this story as much yet. It's a cool world. And they that's one thing where they do respect the player is the vocabulary of this game. Like, they expect you to be an expert on this world. Like, they're throwing out all these names of tribes and events. Like, they really go for it, which I respect too, because I'm always trying to like hunt for that lore and like really get the bigger picture. It's really cool, like talking to people and they just go for it with their dialogue.
There's a point I want to bring up that has been addressed to me several times, and I'm sure you've maybe heard it as well, that you sort of cross a threshold in the story where it starts getting more meaningful. It starts wrapping things together a little bit more tightly. I really hope that the next time we sit down and we talk about Horizon, that maybe we can see that stuff and see if what people are saying is totally true and have that holistic experience. Because had I, for example, only done 2 of the endings for Nier, I would have a very different impression of it. And I think that is something that is always important to consider.
Absolutely.
Anything else besides Horizon?
Streamed Ghost Recon with Jones.
You just seem happy as a clam with that.
It's the Jones effect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much of it is the Jones effect? How much is game? How much is Jones?
90% Jones.
Okay.
90%.
Honesty, yes.
If you go back and, when this was announced at E3 or whenever that was that E3 when we were talking about it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, I was there. Yeah.
I railed on this game, like personally offended, like unnecessarily bitter and like angry at Ghost Recon Wildlands. Long days, who knows? I was like in a bad mood. I was pissed.
It happens.
And streaming with Jones is just, it was a blast. I had a really good time playing this game. It was very, very low stakes. And our somebody said, I think it was you, maybe Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Odd Couple where I'm just like, Jones, get in. And we get in like this rickety old van and I just like drive off the cliff, barreling down this hill. And Jones has a more methodical, like,
Precise,
let's
I would say.
systematically set up shop here, like throwing his drone up in the air to paint targets. And I'm just like, all right, he's dead. All right, got this guy.
Yeah, driving the van through like a gate or something like that. Yeah, that's you.
What's important for that odd couple dynamic, I think, is you don't want that very methodical person to get agitated when you're doing this. You want them to kind of like be able to laugh with it and go along with it.
Yeah.
Is Jones good at that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Ghost Recon Wildlands, do you think the game is designed well enough that like both of you with both these different dynamics are having a good time and have plenty to do?
He was having a good time, absolutely.
What about you?
The Jones dopamine of like leveling up.
Okay.
That open world, like we're
I
checking
see.
things off in the open world. That is like Jones is content.
Okay.
Jones is stoked. Whereas I'm, blowing stuff up and causing chaos and shooting dudes with a shotgun.
Do you think there's a lasting appeal there?
I have talked to Jones now like 3 separate times, and I'm like, dude, we gotta play more. We gotta go. We gotta play more.
So is it like just a good army of 2 now?
It's different. It's like the main point that I want to drive home, and the reason I'm on board, and it's not just like, oh, that was fun, I'm gonna hang it up. The vehicles in this game are incredibly satisfying to drive, to fly. Just being in a chopper and like parachuting out, or flying over someone and like, or over a base and like, dropping Jones off and then like going to another place and going, just like the vehicles are really fun. Okay. They feel good to drive. They feel good to drive down cliffs. They feel good to run people over. So the story and writing is not going to win any awards.
Yeah.
And the combat is, you die pretty quickly, but if you're even like this much patient, you'll have no real problems. Just I don't think it's a type of game. You know, we were talking about this earlier. I don't think Ghost Recon Wildlands is the type of game that is supposed to challenge you. It's not supposed to challenge you really mentally or physically in terms of narrative or AI, enemy difficulty. You are just
having and I'm not using this word in a negative connotation. You're having a shallow good time with your friends. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.
Yeah. Like I was hanging out with Jones online. That's what it was.
Right.
It's like Ian always talks about Destiny.
Right.
And
having it be a perfect backdrop for socialization.
Exactly.
Now, my question to you is, backdrops for socialization, all well and good. You and Brandon Jones, I'm not trying to make this more than it is, but you and Brandon Jones received this game for free for coverage.
Yeah. Somebody
said, hey, I want to have a good time for my friends. Should we all spend $60 on this?
I think so. The amount of this is a game where the quantity part of it is entirely justified with the price tag because there's just so many things to check off. So if you're looking for value and for a game where you can just hang out with your friends for a while every couple days.
Dumb fun, just hanging out.
Big dumb fun.
Blowing stuff up.
Big dumb fun, blowing stuff up. Absolutely.
Bradley Ellis, how much would it take for you to go into the Wildlands with Michael Huber?
You'd have to pay me. Not because, the thing is, I have so much other stuff I'd rather play than that.
Oh, it's just a funny response.
You have to pay me.
Michael Damiani.
Pay for my time.
What would it take for you to hop into the Wildlands with Michael Huber?
Double what you're giving Brad.
It's I was going to ask you to give a reason.
It's like I could play Ghost Recon Wildlands or I could start Yakuza. And it's like, which one are you going to do, Brad?
Don't fucking tease me, Brad.
Don't tease me.
Ben, I'm bringing it up because it's
me.
there. It's waiting for me.
I want to talk about
I'm
Yakuza.
ready.
We need to talk about Yakuza.
Hold on. I want to talk about something too, actually, before we go to that.
Okay.
Not video games.
Okay. Wait, let me finish.
Oh yeah, okay. Video games go.
Really, just finish Ghost Recon. The story and the somewhat repetitive nature of the quests might turn you off. So it's one of those things where if you play this game for an hour and you're not really feeling it, then I don't think this is the game for you. This is, I really want to drive home the mindless part. And again, I don't use that as an insult because that word is so insulting to all the hundreds of developers that worked on this game for how many years, how many hours.
Right.
There is value in this game. And I feel like, though, it is a specific pocket of playing with people. It is a social game. And especially the way they market this game. As on Twitch, and it was a commercial for it. And it was you hear the dialogue of the players, like, okay, I'm going in, I'm doing this, blow this up, high-speed chase, guy comes in with a chopper, picks up his friend, explosions, it is big, dumb fun in the greatest way, Transformers is big, dumb fun. That's a $300 million movie, but I would still recommend you go see it in the movie theater, so.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this game, it's just I'm not in the position of my life to play it right now.
Absolutely.
So. And I think a lot of it hinges, too, if you have friends that play.
Yeah, totally.
Again, a positive, too, to point out is the way it tries to sync you up with other players. It'll be like, yo, this player, random stranger, is at a very similar point in the game as you. Do you want to join? It's like, yeah, I'll hop in. You can open your game, close your game. And that is really cool because it's, there's something there because, co-op games, whether it's 2 players or 3 players or 4 players, trying to manage 4 real-world people to get together, to clear their schedules, to have free time, to be able to play Halo 5 or something, to get 4 people on a given night to go through and play something is really hard.
Yeah.
That is not an easy thing to do. So 4-player co-op in theory is incredible, and I love when we get 4 people to do something, but it's really hard. Ghost Recon Wildlands does this incredibly, and because the story is kind of just there, and there's so many things to do, it's kind of just not really restrictive. It's not Halo where it's like, okay, well, everyone needs to be at the same spot. We need to play at the exact same time. We need to do this. It's like, Jones, you're a little farther than me. I'm just going to hop in your game and like, I'll get stuff done regardless. You know, I'll get some of my stuff done and organically as we go through together.
Sure.
And that is commendable.
Never underestimate how valuable flexibility can be. It's something
It's
that
so
I really
flexible.
love about Titanfall 2 and how they make it so you can very easily network different groups of people for different
Yeah.
reasons and then jump between them very easily. Yes.
Yeah.
More of that. That
Yeah.
needs to be praised more
Yeah.
overtly.
I praise that Ghost Recon Wildlands. I praise it.
Bradley Ellis, what did you want to talk about?
Hold on. I was just thinking about like jumping into some random guy's game and how fun it is. Sometimes you just get some dude like you
It's
don't
incredible.
know on a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what up?
I love it.
Yeah, sure.
I absolutely
It's just
love
like,
that.
okay, this will be funny.
I had that in For Honor. I was doing this guy, and we rematched like 9 times in a row. And then when I left, he private messaged me. He's like, "Oh, dude, come back! Like, that was so good." Because it just like he would win, I would win. He would win, I would win.
Yeah.
And then like now we're friends on PSN. And
You have to with the multiplayer and random people. You have to cherish those moments where you
Yeah.
really find somebody that like isn't being a total idiot asshole.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, I still think about that time we played Left 4 Dead like 5 years ago. We got this guy named Giovanni. And we just kept saying that
Yeah.
playing with him.
And he's like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, hey guys, what's up? Yeah, he's just some super jolly
Giovanni,
guy.
and he would just own, dude.
Yeah.
He would just wreck zombies.
It would just be Mike going, Giovanni the whole time.
It was amazing.
And he was just like happily just
He was
going
the
along.
Yeah, he loved it.
He was
having a
incredible.
blast.
He was incredible. Then Yakuza. So there are these like machines. There are these machines called dream machines where you can put like 1,000,000 yen into these machines and get like a random prize. So it's basically gambling. Also, did you play the dice game?
I did.
Oh my god, Ben. I played dice for like 3 hours.
All right.
Because it's like in the bowl.
Yeah.
And it's like
You did not play for 3 hours.
a long time.
You played probably for an hour.
It was over an hour. It was a long time.
But for the sake of our audience, please describe the game.
So it's 4 players, and you roll dice into a bowl, 3 dice, and there are many combinations of what you want to roll or do not want to roll.
Yeah.
And you bet like accordingly. And you know, if your dice goes out of the bowl, it's like an automatic DQ, and it's just so simple but so addicting.
So there's a lot of ways that you can gamble in Yakuza
So
0.
many ways.
What was it about the dice specifically?
Because I
that made you spend-
understood it. I understood it.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Like
fair.
Mahjong or whatever. I just don't know how to play. You know.
It's something. Every time I play a Yakuza game, I'm
Yeah.
like, I need to figure
I
this out.
want to play this.
Yeah, I need to figure this out.
just-
I don't know how to play either.
Were you?
Yeah, I was going to say something, but you were like, Yakuza. I was like, all right.
I'm not kidding, man. I'm not joking around because I really want to drive at one point that the ship is not sailing.
Play
I-
Yakuza 0.
I am going to bring up Yakuza on every single
I applaud you.
frame trap for the
applaud you.
rest of the year. It's never too late to join in.
I'm gonna hold you to this.
Okay.
I'm gonna just look at you. I'm gonna say,
Is it time?
is it time?
Okay.
All right. Bradley.
So, some of you know, WrestleMania is coming up. Coming up. Ben, we got to get you to watch wrestling, by the way.
Ben!
Can I just have a real moment with you guys?
We need this.
Can I just have a real
Yeah.
moment with you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All the time. Every time I see you guys, you come in, you're talking about some wrestling character, and like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see. And then you pull up some YouTube video, and you're like, isn't this insane? And you're like, Ben, you gotta watch wrestling. And you go and you have your little wrestling parties, and I'm never invited.
Well, usually we have viewing parties once a month in Irvine because it's where we go to our friends.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm open to the idea.
Okay.
If you one time in your life were to come though and be like, "Yo, guys, I watched Monday Night Raw."
Oh, so you're saying if I showed that initiative,
Yeah.
you would reward it.
Oh my god, yeah.
Tenfold.
We'd freak
If
out.
you came and you were like, "Yo, so AJ Styles like
Yeah.
ambush, that was pretty intense."
Yeah. You're like, what?
Then I would, the floodgates would open.
I I mean, I want to do it because I do have a genuine interest. I can't believe I'm saying this because seriously, no joke, before I met both of you, zero interest in wrestling. I was like, this is just not for me.
Yeah.
You have changed me. Yeah. I now care about it. I want to do it.
He changed me with it too.
Yeah, so it's the same thing happened to you?
Same thing.
Okay.
It's one of those things where you look at, and unless you dive in, you don't really know what it is.
Sure.
You know?
Ben, like, I watched it for a while with Mike, just like the pay-per-views. I was like, oh, this is fun. But I'm not, like, hugely attached. You need to find the wrestler that you attach yourself to.
Okay.
That really draws you.
Someone you love.
And for me, this wrestler's name is AJ Styles.
Why? Why AJ Styles?
AJ Styles.
He's the phenomenal
He is
one.
literally the best, one of, if not the best wrestler in the entire world, Ben. Started Indies, went TNA, then wrestled in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a sweet stable there called the Bullet Club, where he was the leader of it, Ben.
And like tying in all of this like anime style lore of like people that were in Japan that have these like huge backstories. You know, they bring those backstories with them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of it's just so rewarding and like it feels like a giant universe. You know, they call WWE the WWE universe. But it's hard to ignore like all the other
Here is one concern that I have. I'm sorry to derail the conversation, but I've already had to deal with a lot of universes between video games and now we got this anime show.
Marvel.
On the side, I try to watch movies and other television shows when I can. Yeah. Now you're telling me I got a whole nother universe to deal with? That sounds intimidating.
It is intimidating.
Here's the thing. I just want to like feed you the universe a little bit, let you try some and see what you think of it.
Bite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going on in wrestling
So
right now?
WrestleMania is coming up.
2 weeks away. WrestleMania, the
story
biggest
is-
of the year, Super Bowl.
Why is besides it being the Super Bowl of wrestling? What
It's
is
where
it?
all the story that they've been building all year usually
It's like the
comes.
season
It's the
finale.
season finale
Okay.
of like
Once
wrestling.
a year.
Yeah, once a year.
It's a
You
4-hour
may say
show.
the culmination.
It is the culmination.
So my favorite
High budget.
my favorite wrestler, AJ Styles, a heel, which is like a bad guy. Pretty much that's how they say a bad guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an opponent yet. He's been getting screwed over by the managers and everything like that in the storyline like that.
Yeah.
So he goes after the guy whose name is Shane McMahon, the GM of SmackDown.
Commissioner.
Commissioner, yeah.
Vince McMahon's son, you know Vince McMahon?
He is the...
Everyone knows.
I've seen the gifs.
Yeah.
Okay.
His son.
Goes after him, is like, he's like ready, he's unhinged, Ben. He's like ready to strike. Waits.
So good.
Waits.
Goes like backstage, is like, yo, man. Like, you call this opportunity. Freaking out. Everyone's like, yo, man.
And he's
high
like,
stakes.
I'm gonna do something, Matt. He goes and waits in the car garage for him to come. When Shane McMahon arrives, AJ just ambushes him, beating his ass, throws him against the wall, just going, Then he finishes up, he throws his head through a car window. I'm done, man. Just like leaves, and he's like bleeding and shit. And they show him later, like getting worked on by the doctors and everything like that. Then they fire AJ later. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Fire me?" He's like, "You bet your ass, you're fired."
Yeah.
Then Shane McMahon like going like to
Limping
like
out,
get out of there. And he's like, "No, wait." And he's like all concussed and everything. He goes, "AJ Styles, you want a match for WrestleMania? You got it." And it's like, yes. I mean, that's not the match I want to see AJ Styles in, but
Shane will take the hits.
Exactly. Shane will take the
McMahon,
hits.
he wrestles like once every like 3 years. A legend for like taking
Hits.
the hits. Incredible.
Getting thrown through glass.
Thrown through glass is his specialty. There was this old moment where he fought like this Kurt Angle. This is like an old legend amongst wrestling. They meant to replace the glass with I forget the type of glass it's called, but it's like easy to go through.
Yeah,
you know? It's
easy
for
to break glass.
For performers, it's like sand glass or something. They forgot to change one of them into sand glass, so like Kurt Angle tried to suplex him through it, and it didn't break, and he landed straight on his head.
Like hits the wall.
Hits the hall,
slides
so
down,
it doesn't
hits.
break.
Yeah.
And you hear them like talking to each other, and you hear Shane. He's like, again,
Do it again.
like, dude, like we got to make this spot. We got to commit to the spot. So like Kurt like does it again, and I think it was like 2 or 3 times. Doesn't break, and like it's a falls count anywhere match. So Kurt Angle wants to just pin him there to like end it. We got to end this. Like it's not working. Like it's botched. Like end it. You know.
And it sounds extremely painful.
What? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Shane's like, do it again. And finally on the third one, they go through like the real glass, and it's not like the fake glass. He's like cut.
Yeah, bleeding and shit.
Yeah. It was just like it just. I always come back to wrestling is not fake. It's staged. There is a difference.
yeah.
It is planned. It is predetermined. It is staged, but it's not fake. Like,
Sometimes things go wrong.
Yeah.
And you take the hits.
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
Mankind.
So
Mick
Damiani
Foley was in it the other day. Damiani. He used his Socko. I'm not even kidding. A week ago. On Triple H. Yep. This just happened. Yeah.
what is happening right now?
Breaking down.
See, even Damiani loves it,
yeah.
dude.
I watched it back
So
in the
good.
day.
Back in the day.
Like
Yeah.
mid to late 90s to early 2000s.
Glory
like
days.
literally when they had to change their name to WWE, I think was when I
Yeah.
stopped
Yeah.
watching for whatever reason.
PG.
Just never came back.
Yeah. They went for entertainment.
But Degeneration X.
No,
No!
No.
no, sorry. No. That's not what I'm saying. That's
Sorry.
No.
I said sorry. He said no.
Sorry, what I was trying to say is my goal for next Frame Trap is to tell you a wrestling moment that I watched that stuck out to me.
Yes.
That's my goal.
I recommend, if you can, just tape it and then you just fast forward like filler.
Okay.
Some filler.
I think that's going to be necessary.
Yeah.
Ben, my goal is for you to honestly too sweet me. And like mean it. Like
I don't know
know
what
the
that
meaning
means.
of the too sweet.
Oh, I think you said too sweepy me, like
No.
come up to you and do a wrestling
No,
move, and I was
too
like,
sweet. That's my goal.
what? I do think we have to move on. I've
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
appreciated
of course.
this just like bomb of energy
sorry.
for this. Once again, nudging me closer to actually checking this out.
Lastly, though,
Yeah,
one thing I wanted to bring up:
please.
the Americans.
Yeah.
Really
so
quickly.
I asked you to bring this up because this is what you do to me,
Yeah.
and you've been doing this for I think at least a year.
This is season
You will
5
walk
now,
up to me,
so-
not just me. You'll walk up to Kyle Bossman,
Yeah.
and you'll go, "The Americans is the best show on TV," and then you walk away, and it's like,
Undoubtedly.
all right. So, like, cool.
But
Cool. Why is it the best show
I
on
have
television?
I've thrown this gauntlet down. I've challenged anyone, including you guys. I challenge people to watch the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and you're in. You're in. If you watch the first 10 minutes of The Americans, and you're like, oh, I'm out.
I need more. Give me more, Huber.
So it is 1980s, where a Russian family sleeper agents are in America in the 1980s, post-Cold War, and they are like, they're pro-Russia, anti-America, but they live in America. They're disguised as an American family. And their son and daughter don't even know. Their son and daughter have no idea of their origins. They have no idea that they're Russian. So it's like this family where the mom and dad will go out and just like, you know, go on some like James Bond, CIA, KGB style, like espionage. And the reason it's so good, one, obviously, are the characters. Like, I am so emotionally attached to this family. It hurts. It's like the such a connection. These aren't just characters on TV. These are not just like fantastical, you know, whatever, kings or aliens or like zombies. Like, these are such real people with such conflicting morals, you know, and not just together. It's like you have the wife and the husband and the daughter. It's like you see so many sides, and there's so much depth to everything that they do, and it's just so well done. There's constant stakes. Nothing feels like filler. It's like everything is always building. There's a constant tension. And just where the show goes, it's unpredictable, it's exciting, it's emotional. It has all the hallmarks of what you watch television for. It's like, why do you watch TV? Oh, I want to see a good story. I want to see characters I care about. I want to see action. I want to be excited. I want to be emotionally invested. You get all of that in The Americans times 10. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but this season, I've only watched the very first episode, and it's like, they are so confident now because season 4 they finally got some like critical acclaim. Like you go and look on like best show lists, it's usually always number 1 from critics. Like best shows of the year, it's usually always The Americans. And they are so confident now, it's like you will get a 20-minute scene. Like this first episode, it's not really a spoiler, but like the first episode, you have a 20-minute scene, not one word said. Not one word. What show has the balls to do that? Where not a word is said for 20 minutes? 30 minutes? And you're just like on the edge of your seat the entire time and nothing is even being said and you're just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen here?
That's insanely impressive.
Yeah. It's just an incredible show. And it's funny, I was talking to Beth about it. It's like there were moments in like season 2 or 3 where we're like, there's no way this is gonna happen, or like like it's never gonna get there, like that, like, well, like when this happened, like that's gonna happen, and it's like we have been so caught off guard. Now in season 5, we're just like, wait, like, but what is this? Like, this is happening.
But the writing supports those leaps.
The writing's phenomenal.
Where you're not just like, oh, we're in a different place now, and this feels weird and jarring. That you when you get there, you feel like you can invest because it makes sense.
Payoffs, dude.
Good.
Such payoffs. Watch it. Everyone should watch it. Last time I checked, it was on Amazon, I think. It was on Netflix.
Prime Video?
Yeah, it was on Netflix for a while. Then I saw it on like Amazon Prime. Pretty sure it's all on Prime.
There's something that I'm very excited to talk to you about with very few qualifiers, and I have not been able to say this about this franchise in a super long time.
Yakuza?
The feel-good hit of the summer, I hope, is Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania, baby!
Now, I got to check out Sonic Mania at GDC. I can talk about it now.
And PSX, they had it.
I didn't play it at PSX.
Oh, okay.
So this was my first hands-on, eyes-on, outside of a trailer with Sonic Mania. And, you know, keep in mind that whenever you see... I saw it for 20 minutes. Whenever you see something for 20 minutes, it's easy to be taken for a ride. It's easy to get overexcited. But do you know how when you play Sonic 4 and you're like, and they said this, you know, we're going back, we're calling this Sonic 4, we're going back to the roots, and how they keep saying we're going back to the roots, and it just never felt right. The second I got Sonic Mania in my hand, I'm like, yep, this is it. This is how I want this game to feel. But it's not just that. I think that would be impressive on its own. I think people would be in for Sonic Mania if it just felt like a good goddamn Sonic game.
Yeah.
But the level of detail and care and how they're changing things up, because they initially said, you know, it's a mix of old and new stages. How they're changing those old stages. So you have Green Hill Zone, right? Sonic 1.
Classic.
You have power-ups from like Sonic 3 in there. You can...
That sounds like Mania.
There are, and the thing is, they can now alter the level. So there are like vine bridges that you can use to get across. You can burn those vine bridges with the power up, and so you're revisiting these old levels, right? But you can mess around with them so much that you constantly feel surprised. They've added so much to them. There are new animations all over the place. It looks great. Then you get to Act 2, right? And normally in a Sonic game. In the classic Sonic games, or at least what I'm thinking of, there's that transition to the next stage. In Sonic Mania, you just keep going. So you get to the end of Green Hill Zone, the thing comes out, you get the stuff, then you just keep running, and the level greatly changes.
Context.
And Green Hill Zone Act 2, what they made it was a concept of something they wanted to put into Sonic but never did. And so now they're doing it. Even the brand new stages... like Studiopolis, new stage that I saw. There are so many awesome, minute references. There's this popcorn machine that you get in and it'll like pop you up to a higher level. That is based on an actual popcorn machine that was in the Sega offices.
Crazy.
Or might still be in the Sega offices.
That's crazy.
But what I'm trying to convey here, the real point of all of this...
It's a celebration.
...is based on what I was told and what I saw and what I felt, there is a very deep love and respect for Sonic here that comes through and is easy to get excited about because of how immediately apparent it is.
Love and respect.
I want to play Sonic Mania so badly.
Me too. Really badly.
It'll be good to play a great Sonic game again.
It will be...
Sonic Mania, dude.
And so that's something I saw at GDC. Another thing that I saw at GDC that I want to talk about is...
There's something I was going to say. Oh, yeah. I had a quick question.
No, go ahead.
The Chaos Emeralds. Which is the minigame the same or different or?
What I saw the Sonic 2. You're in the pipe.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think the Sonic 1 will show up, like going through the
maze, and then you've got the
God.
I love that.
Yeah.
3D like running around.
Love the maze.
Yeah, I love the maze.
The tube is my favorite. I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
That is the only one that I saw.
Okay. Cool. Hope they
All
both.
good
Yeah,
signs.
the extent that they, because I was asking questions about Sonic CD, and they're like, we're not gonna. So there might be more that they're going to announce before the game comes out in the summer.
Asking questions about Sonic CD is super funny to me.
Sonic CD is
Like
great.
how you got there is just really funny to me.
Yeah.
And the Game Gear one. Love Sonic on Game Gear.
I have never played Sonic on Game Gear.
Dude, I wonder if I still have it.
Please, I'd
I'll
like
take
to
a
play
look.
it.
What was there?
I'd like to play it.
3D Blast? Was
You
that
also played
on?
on, 3D
was that
Shop.
on? What was that on?
3D Blast.
3D Blast was
that on Sega
Genesis.
CD?
There might have been. I played Sonic 3D Blast on Genesis.
Okay.
It's not a good game.
Yeah, I thought there was like a
It's
different
a bad game.
CD
I
version
don't.
or something.
There might be a Game Gear version of 3D Blast, but I never had a Game Gear, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that familiar with the console. Another thing that I saw at GDC that I want to talk about that I'm a little bit more apprehensive of kind of gushing about than Sonic Mania is Dawn of War 3.
Oh.
So I stepped in and I played multiplayer. I played the Space Marines. And
so hardcore.
I remember just very, very, very briefly playing Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2 and remember liking them, but I didn't invest in them the way that I did other real-time strategy games, and so I can't intelligently speak to their mechanics. But Dawn of War 3, I walked away and I was like, I want to play more of that, and I'm like, it feels so good to be excited about an RTS. And what made it very, very cool, and we often talk about how we want to see kind of an evolution of Warcraft 3 that is still very much a real-time strategy game, but you have these big, powerful hero units. That's present here in a super cool way, because in Dawn of War 3, you have your armory, and I was playing as the Space Marines, and there are these control points on the map that you go to, and you can choose what resource they give you, and you can also build turrets on them. And so I was playing against this guy, and my strategy was, I'm going to go all across the map, gather all these points, build them up, and just lock him out.
Nice.
Because he doesn't have, these mineral resources that he can just go in his base and hide out. You have to venture forth and put yourself at risk and figure out how to divide up your army to capture these points, and that was really cool. And the other thing is, as you're going along, you're building up this currency, and you can, before you go into the game, you pick out a loadout of heroes that you want, and they're different strengths. And so it starts out, and I have this sort of cloak assassin unit that I can call in. Then I get this general that has this giant hammer, and he's doing a whirlwind. And then the highest level thing that I could call in was this giant bipedal mech that was just raining death and destruction. And choosing when to call these things in, because you can call them in the heat of battle, and it just, that layer of micromanagement reminded me of that Warcraft 3 kind of thing, where you're not only managing this big army, you're also trying to figure out when to best use these abilities that are on cooldown, that kind of thing. And again, I feel bad, and I'm sure the audience has a lot of corrections for me and a lot more depth that they can go into, because I'm just not that familiar with Dawn of War. But I do want to say that my inexperienced initial impressions of Dawn of War 3 were favorable, and I would really love to stream it with you and get your thoughts on it.
Hell yeah. The only Dawn of War game I played was the Space Marine. PS3.
Yeah, that's a 40K game.
Isn't it like
That's not a Dawn of War.
Oh,
That's like a spin-off game, right?
Yeah,
that's the only.
There are a bunch of 40K.
Well,
games, yeah.
Yeah, it's not an RTS at all.
Yeah. Just that universe.
Oh, okay.
Like Warhammer.
I like
Online.
Space Marine though.
Like Warhammer
I thought it was a
Online.
fun
Warhammer Online, yeah. That was fun.
And that's really the only much I've dabbled in. Is the Dawn of War trilogy connected to other games or just?
So, part of the reason why I haven't gone whole hog into either Warhammer or 40K is because it's overwhelming, and there's so much. Like, not only are there so many video games, but there's just so much lore and stuff that, just from an outside perspective, it's like, what is going on here? And so, that doesn't excuse ignorance, but it's something that I'm just not familiar at that I want to be more familiar with in the future. So I talked about Sonic Mania, I talked about Dawn of War 3, feeling pretty good about what I've seen of that stuff. What I want to talk about that I so very much just want to sit here and say, yep, they nailed it, but I can't quite say that, is I've been playing the PC trial Origin access of Mass Effect Andromeda. And it's not that it's terrible, but something feels off. It's not
the eyes
registering with me. So
it's
that's
the
something,
eyes, Ben.
It's not just that, though. That is very much a part of it. And let's start with that, where the environments look pretty good. They look very detailed. They certainly have an alien quality, a sci-fi quality that you would want to them. But when you are talking to human characters, specifically human characters that aren't important, it is just distractingly awful. Both the animations and how they look. You'll be having this serious conversation with somebody, and they'll just have these dead eyes that will move in such an unnatural way, and you're trying to listen to what's going on. You're trying to listen to the important information they're telling you, and it's just like, what is happening with your face? That's what's.
What's wrong with your face?
I don't want to be too hard on it because I'm only a few hours in. And maybe I will get used to it. I certainly haven't finished this game. I'm not halfway or anything.
Something like that's not going to change, though.
Right. And it's actually only gotten worse. I've only encountered worse faces as I go on. The aliens look okay, but there is still this just kind of this awkwardness, this stiltedness in a lot of the conversations where it is certainly detracting from this world that you're trying to immerse
yourself in. Which is so
in.
upsetting because no game, like Mass Effect 2, specifically, those conversations were so immersive because the dialogue would flow. Everyone looked incredible. It was a gorgeous game. And just like, I've never been so invested in every conversation in like Mass Effect 2. Just like, getting into a rhythm of just like, all right, like dialogue, quick response, and just like the deliveries back and forth. It was so engaging.
What was especially disheartening is somebody put up a video where they put Mass Effect 1 and Andromeda side by side. I
saw that.
And Andromeda, obviously, like, this is a higher resolution thing, but the animations in Mass Effect 1 and how the characters presented themselves looked far more natural than the side-by-side comparison.
What?
And again, you always have to take these things with a grain of salt, where you can cherry pick certain situations to favor your argument, right?
Yeah,
we know that, but I keep running into these instances over and over and over again.
And I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt before you brought these concerns, because it's so easy to post a GIF online and be like, that looks like
and that
trash.
Needs to be said.
So out of context. You're not in the game. You're not in the world. You're not playing it. But the fact that you have been playing in the world for X amount of hours and that it's alarming is.
But I think it's important to be fair and accurate. I really do think, at least on the PC version that I'm playing, the environments have impressed me. The aliens, by and large, look good. And so I think if you're just like, the humans look weird, it might be a little bit easier to dismiss and move on. But the other thing that's getting to me is the writing just isn't up to snuff. It's just not there. And I think maybe I'm coming down on this so hard because I've played many other BioWare games where it just hasn't been a distraction in other BioWare games where it's happened here. And maybe this fades away past the beginning, but the whole introduction, like you kind of assuming this role of Pathfinder, you encountering hostile aliens for the first time, you sort of like forming a bond with this crew that you're thrown into this situation with, all of it just feels either rushed or it's like, wait a minute, people don't talk like that. And again, the word unnatural, the word stiff keeps coming into my head with a lot of these conversations. And not all of them are like this. There have definitely been lines that have made me chuckle or have made me go like, oh, I want to know more about this person. And so again, I think, this isn't condemning Mass Effect Andromeda. but it certainly doesn't feel like, right now anyway, this big, awesome sequel that I was waiting for. I'm feeling a little disappointment.
How's the combat?
Good question, Brad. I think the combat, for the most part, is pretty good. There's sort of a weight to everything that I like. Like when you're shooting guys, when you're using your biotic powers, there's an impact there, and I've really enjoyed it. Every skirmish that I've been in, and the other thing is, playing on normal difficulty, I do feel that if I'm careless, I'm being punished for it.
Oh,
I'm
good.
taking enough damage. My shield isn't regenerating so quickly that I can not think about it. And I do feel like I'm having to use a lot of the tools that I have. And so I'm getting...
Horizon style.
Sure. I am getting a lot of enjoyment out of the combat. The other thing is just you have these jet boosters that you can jump up and dash, and using that to like dart around and find the perfect spot for laying down fire, and using your squad and positioning in the right spot. All of that stuff, I would say I'm very much enjoying.
I love air dashes, Ben.
I do too. Who doesn't love a good air dash? The one thing, Brad, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, and maybe I'm being unfair here, is because Bloodworth said he played a bunch of multiplayer and it made him more comfortable with it. Is the auto cover? Right now, my initial response is it's just, I would rather go up, hit a button, stick to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I always would. Because
I feel like there's a lot of moments where I'm going, it's like, oh, wait, no, I don't want to go into cover, but because of this thing where I don't have to push in a button, you're going into auto
If
cover.
something happens with your character in combat that you do not intend to, I have a problem with it.
Right, and it's kind of what I was bringing up with the Specter Knight thing, where I feel like I wish, like, game, I can handle that extra layer of control, and I wish I had it here. Again, it's something different. It's something that maybe I'll get used to, but that is one thing about combat that.
One concern I have: how's your crew in it? Do you care about these crew members you have with you? Do you want to explore their stories?
So it's interesting talking to Bloodworth, because he's there's a crew member named Liam where he's like, I sit down, I had some drinks with Liam, and I feel really good about him. Cool. And I haven't had that moment, because my initial impression of Liam, when his response to the situations at hand, that sort of initial encounter with the hostile aliens and meeting you for the first time, I was like, one, this guy isn't all that interesting, and his responses are just, they paint him in a light where it's like, oh, I don't really like you. But I haven't had those loyalty missions. I haven't had those.
I see.
Okay. Maybe I'll change.
Yeah, I know you're super early. I was just curious.
There hasn't yet been a character where it's like, I want you. I want to know more about you. And so we'll see. Bloodworth saying, and it feels bad relaying his words through me, but he is saying to me that the crew and your development with them is one of his favorite points so far.
Oh, great!
So I think that's worth bringing.
That's a good
up.
selling point.
That's great. That's good.
That's why I play Mass Effect.
Yeah,
really, is,
absolutely.
Just hanging out with that crew. And
I have one more question.
Bonds.
How is like exploration of a world or anything like that?
Yeah. Initially, optimistic about it.
Good.
It seems like it's definitely going after more of the Mass Effect 1, where they want you to explore these planets, they want you to go out and they seek out and find things, and during the sort of opening mission, there are optional things that you can do that are really easy. It's like you have a branching path and you can go and you do these things, but they work that into the dialogue. It's because you did this optional thing, we're going to give you more information during this cutscene, or we're going to work it in somehow. And so, tentatively optimistic. I'm kind of on my first planet right now, running around doing things.
Sure, yeah.
Just got the vehicle. And so, I hope that, unlike Mass Effect 1, where it was largely very, very empty, that this feels more rich and meaningful. And, not able to say definitively, but tentatively optimistic.
Cool. That's good.
For sure. Any other questions about Mass Effect? How you feel
I'm
about
more
Mass
interested in it now than I was.
Okay.
I'm just so buried with
Other things.
other games.
The only Mass Effect I really cared about was 2, pretty much.
I love Mass Effect.
But,
I mean, I love all of them.
I'm interested to play this one actually now.
Cool. Michael Damiani, what's your history with Mass Effect? How do you feel about Mass Effect?
I mean, I played the original trilogy. I've been skeptical about Andromeda. Before I heard anything about it directly from anyone I trusted, I had negative vibes about it. Then someone recently told me that they got to play it at a preview event, and I think it was mostly combat what they saw and what they were talking about, and they described it as being pretty good. That they had a good time with it. Don't worry about that. But then all the stuff came out this week about the images of the animations and stuff, and that had me worried. I was like, oh no, is it gonna be like? Were they just cherry picking, showing people good parts during the preview stuff?
Assassin's Creed Unity situation.
And is this like, is it gonna break immersion during like key points because the characters are gonna look goofy or something? And now it's more people saying it's just the humans. Yeah, it could be bad, but like everything else looks really good. And then people saying, basically right now it seems like it's kind of all over the place from different sources, and it has me I don't want to say on edge, but it's making me inclined not to want to play it right away.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's making me want to wait to hear a little bit more of people actually play through the whole thing and say, all right, here's what I thought about it, rather than these initial impression things.
Cool. Well, that is the 2 hour and 15-minute What Have You Been Playing segment. Before we move into the rest of the show, we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. We're all refreshed, ready to go into the rest of the show. There is one thing I want to bring up before we move on. I've said that I was going to talk about the Silver Case, visual novel adventure game from Suda that is really, really cool. I'm going to do one better. We have a special thing coming up with the Silver Case, so that's why I'm not talking about it here, because we're going to be doing more with it later. So please be excited if you were looking forward to that conversation. But you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time to sit down, relax, breathe, and have a nice HOTTAKE! This week, I was thinking, and I had a thought that I wanted to run by you guys. Maybe it's bullshit, maybe it's not, but there's a sense that I can't shake. And that sense is that games don't feel like they have the same lasting impact that they once did. And what I want to talk about, and obviously, again, this is kind of a weird space, but I remember in younger days when I was a kid, when access to both information and video games was less, I remember playing Ocarina of Time for a year and a half. And I just wrung the whole thing out of that. And obviously, times have changed. My job is to cover a lot of video games in a short amount of time. I understand that, but I think it's more than that. I'm seeing people that are just sick of discussing Breath of the Wild because they feel like they've seen it all. There have been countless Twitch streams, countless YouTube videos. Every gaming site cover it. And so you're just bombarded
Posting
from all
the final
sides.
boss.
Posting the final boss.
Yeah.
It's just a game comes out and it feels like the next day you go on the internet and there it all is.
Yeah.
And
Day of release, even.
Yes.
Day of release, everything is there.
Right. And
full guide written, full meta. Here you go.
Everything's figured out.
Yeah, day one.
And obviously, a lot of that is on you, the player, to not engage with that stuff. But I still feel like you can sense it.
Yeah.
And I still feel like it has an effect on games overall. And I feel like just kind of as a culture, I suppose, we kind of move from one thing to the next more and more quickly as time goes on. Do you think, is this true, or am I just feeling
this is true.
Damiani, what do you think?
I agree with you. Your point about when we were all younger and we spent more time with games, I don't want to speak for everyone else, but most people I've spoken to, that this comes up. This has come up before with a lot of other people, the subject, is that when you were younger, you didn't have as many games. There weren't as many games released is not the issue, is that you were only provided fewer games because you were a kid. Your parent you didn't have the means to go out and buy whatever you wanted, and your parents probably were only selecting one or two games every so often. Some people might have only gotten like 1, 2, or 3 games a year.
Yeah. Got my Mario 64, got my Turok,
So
I'm good.
Yeah, like for me, like I had only a Nintendo console growing up. So during N64, like when Ocarina of Time came out, that game lasted me forever. Like I would replay it and replay it and replay it. I think it also has a combination of I had more time when I was younger,
Sure.
and less responsibility. So combine it all together, I feel like a lot of people went through that experience. But I do concede that in today's environment, that even young people now don't necessarily like consume it that way anymore. They feel the need to kind of move on because the prevalence of social media, how easy it is to access information with everything we have, that it's always like, what's next big thing? So I think it's a product of the times have changed a bit, but also when you're younger in general, this is very general because it's not true for everyone, you do have a little bit more time to spend with each game because you aren't the one in control of your purchasing decisions usually.
Well, even like when you're a kid, you see the world differently. Things wow you more. Things are more magical. Like you get old, you get jaded, you get used to things. How many games have we beat? Thousands. So, game like Body Harvest or something as a kid, I'm just like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen on the PlayStation.
You could drive a car.
Yeah. So I think there's that, and I don't know many kids playing games, but my friend does have a 8-year-old, and he does stick with a game for actually quite a while. He played like Garden Warfare 2 for many, many months.
Sure.
Plays Overwatch still like all the time.
Minecraft was one
Yeah.
I heard kids would
Sure.
stick with for a long time. Yeah.
So I do think maybe kids do stick on games a little longer than us adults.
So it
maybe
could
not-
just be a lack of perspective.
But there is definitely more for them to get distracted with.
Yep.
So it probably was, again, theoretically, theorizing, they didn't have just one or two N64 games. There's so much for them to get lost in, but I think maybe they do stick with something for a little longer.
So focusing, I guess, on the amount of information, kind of removing the, it was better when we were kids side, just focusing on the now, do you think the abundance of availability of entire games so quickly is a good thing, a bad thing, a mixture of both? How do you feel about it? How do you process it? How do you deal with it? Do you think about it?
I do think about it. I think it is a blessing and a curse. The curse of the backlog. Everyone jokes about it. But it in a way, oh man, this is kind of a scary thing to say. In a way, it kind of devalues a big release.
Why does it devalue a big release?
Like a Horizon Zero Dawn. This is a game where, 10 or so years ago, this would be the game. This is it. Horizon Zero Dawn's coming out. This is the one, baby. This is the one we're doubling down on. And a week later, it's forgotten.
It's old news already.
It's old news. It's old news. And like you were saying about Zelda, Zelda just came out. We've been waiting 7 years for Zelda.
Right.
And it's already, all right, we all beat it, wash our hands, on to the next.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is extremely weird and unsettling.
I want to talk about that effect a little bit, where it affects. Does it? Okay, not does it? Not saying. Not trying to put words in your mouth, but does it affect your mental state playing a game when you feel like generally people have moved on?
It did, but Yakuza 0 now helped me. I'm in a new place this year. 2017 new place because I took a little bit more time with Yakuza 0. I did the side quest. I hung out. I know you had finished it. You reviewed it, obviously. Other people had finished it. People were asking me like, yo, when can we talk about this? And I said, I'm in my own world. I silenced everything and I just enjoyed it for what it was, and it felt really good. And I did that with Zelda, and it really helped. I went into a deep, dark cave with Zelda. I was completely off the internet for the week or so, a week and a half that it took me to beat. And I think that helped.
Let me throw something back at you. So you've achieved this Zen-like state.
Yeah.
You're able to shut out the noise.
Yeah.
Is there ever anxiety that you're missing out on the conversation?
Yeah, with Neo. I missed the conversation. I missed the hype.
What does that feel like?
It feels terrible because I missed the discovery. People discovering things in Neo. People like I remember I heard somebody talking to Jones about like this wall that you could like bow to or something. I was like, man, that's like Souls level stuff of discovery.
Yeah.
And now all of that has been picked clean. So anytime I discover something, when I eventually get to Neo, it might lose a little magic because everyone's been there, done that.
So how do you reconcile that?
I'll tell you how
I try to zone it out. I try to now that it has been so long. Now going back to Neo, it might feel a little better because it's like, okay, everyone's moved on. Everyone's going that way.
So you've created enough distance.
Yeah, everyone's going that way. Everyone's moved on, and it's like, all right, now I'm gonna go and kind of enjoy Neo on my own here and kind of just drown everything out.
Brad?
I handle like a lot of that kind of thing now about being okay with leaving a game behind for a while. Like if I'm worried about something being ruined for me, I will focus on like a Souls game, for example. I'm going to push everything aside that I have and that I am playing to play that game so nothing gets ruined for me.
Regardless of where you are in those other games.
Usually, yes. Or I plan ahead for that instance. Like, for example, Persona 5 is coming out, so I'm not thinking about starting Horizon because I want to beat Nier, because I could beat Nier probably before Persona 5 comes out, so I'll be okay. I'll be caught up. But, like, yeah, I'm just, as I've gotten older, I've been okay with pushing stuff aside and
You're
playing
willing to
it
let
later.
go.
Yeah, I'm willing to let go now, and I'm happier for it, because I can't...
Yeah.
It can't be a burden to your backlog. Like, you can't be a slave to it, is what I meant.
Play what you want to play in the moment.
Yeah.
Brad, I got another question for you.
Sure.
So let's say a game is coming out. You're tentatively interested in it, whether it's a new IP or just something that you think could be cool, but you're not 100% sold on it. How do you approach it? How much media do you consume without feeling like you ruin yourself?
It depends upon the game. Like, yeah, if I'm like not super interested into it, or like I'm just kind of like whatever on it, I'm cool with a trailer to get the idea, or maybe two.
Okay.
Cool with that.
And is that usually where you stop?
That's usually where I'll stop. Yeah, I'll have a feel. If I'm curious about the game, like a trailer or two is usually enough for me to understand.
That's how I am with movies too. Same exact thing. I love watching one trailer when it comes out. The day that first trailer comes out, you watch it. Then you go media blackout until you see it.
Yeah, and it's usually not like a launch trailer that I'll watch. I don't watch that because then they're really giving away too much.
Yeah.
I'll watch like a month before the game comes out.
Damiani, how do you deal with it?
I want to say one thing real quick before answering that. I do in general feel that like we move on from games quickly. I don't always think that we are indicative of everyone else, like us here, like Easy A, because and I'll be a dissenter on this one because like I don't think the conversation has moved on from Breath of the Wild yet. I still feel like there are a ton of people still talking about it. I just feel sometimes with our jobs, we have to, because of responsibilities, move on to the next game.
Sure.
And our focus really isn't on sticking on a big release that unless you go self-discovery and go like dive into the community and stuff and see that the findings that they have that aren't just like, the very, hit you in the face on Twitter because everyone's retweeting it type stuff. I think we miss out on that a little bit, honestly. And so I don't know if it's just because it's me and I really like Zelda, but I don't remember this happening really with Skyward Sword. Or the past few Zeldas, I don't remember it sticking for very, very long or there being much traction outside the usual things. With Breath of the Wild, I do feel differently from what I'm seeing and what I'm interested in and who other people I'm talking to. So I do feel so far it's breaking the mold. And remember, I started playing it earlier, and I have to remind myself, like, I've been playing it for over like about a month.
Right.
People have only been playing it for 2 weeks. And yet I'm still wanting to play it, still wanting to discover stuff, but still want to talk about people or talk with people about all this stuff in it. But I think that's more exception than the norm in general for...
Yeah, like Resident Evil stuck around a little while.
Yeah.
It was cool because they had those 2 batches of DLC. I think that really helped. I think it was a good idea to do that, where it's like, all right, 2 weeks after the game's out, we're going to have a DLC, and then like 1 or 2 more weeks later, we're going to have another DLC, like kind of story related. And that keeps the conversation going for a little extra longer, which I liked and appreciated.
I want to clarify. I totally agree with you, actually, Damiani, that there is still a lot of people that have very much not moved on from Breath of the Wild. But it was just I encountered that sentiment at all, and that's what prompted the conversation in the first place.
Oh yeah, there are people who like just played through it.
Yeah.
And are like, I'm done with it.
Yeah. And I
you
just thought it was an interesting thing to think
and
about.
it's more commonplace now. I would say with a lot of people that they play what they want to play, they move on, and they don't have any interest in anything else with discovery with that game. Your DLC thing is perfect. I think that's one of the reasons for me why I feel like, to me, Final Fantasy 15 has fallen off the face of the earth for me. Yeah. And I'm so down on that. The DLC now, and I just want to say, I don't know if I really care anymore about that. They took too long for me.
Way too
and
long.
that's my fear with Zelda now. Despite it being huge for people who want to do all that extra stuff, it is all just the same thing again. Technically, just how interesting is exploration to you will carry you for 150, 200, 300 hours that we've been alluding to, or do you need more story content or more dungeon type content, which the first one's supposedly in the summer, the other one's in winter holiday.
Oh, yeah, it's a December 31st, so it could even slip into next year.
Yeah, that's so far away. I worry about those types of plans, but yeah, doing immediate DLC does help keep that interest going for a little longer.
Well, and it depends too. Like if a game comes out, to be fair for Zelda, no big game has come out since Zelda. No, Mass Effect is coming next, so it'll be interesting to see.
Nier, baby.
Oh, Nier. Well, I feel like Nier is this like
no big game.
No big game. Yeah, it's disrespectful.
It's a big game.
But I feel
I'm kidding.
That it's an interesting point because I feel like Nier is sliding so far under the radar, and not a lot of people are talking about it.
Don't let it slide, Huber.
I won't.
Yeah,
I won't. That is disrespectful. I'm sorry, Nier.
It's okay.
But it's like no one's really talking about Nier.
I also never answered your original question. How
It's
do
okay.
I like
It's okay. It was a good point.
tune out stuff? This might be very cynical, and I don't know if it's gonna come off as not nasty, but it has to be done. And I'm gonna bring up a specific point here, Huber.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4. When you found out, I did not know about the PlayStation 1 and the Crash Bandicoot stuff in the game. You were like, Damiani, how did he not know about that?
Yeah.
And play it like 7 months after the game came out.
Yeah.
It's because I have actually trained myself, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, if I know I'm not going to play something till later, even if it's like being thrown in my face on social media, I just feel like it goes in one ear, out the other ear, and I just go into don't give a shit mode is what I call it. Just,
This is great.
I just like, oh, spoilers for this? Good. I'm gonna forget. Tell me Game of Thrones stuff. I'm gonna forget about it because if I watch, I'm gonna do it 6 months from now.
I need that power.
I'm not gonna remember that shit because I'm telling my body and mind to say, don't care about it. It's worthless. Don't like.
Training.
This is
I
some,
need this
some
training.
monk on a mountain.
It's just
shit.
and like I'll go back and do stuff, and people are like, I told you about that. Did you forget? I'm like, because I didn't care. Sorry, like I wasn't playing it then. I was engaging with you, but like I need to like just like I need to treat it like it's not very important information. My brain's just like, dump it. It's stupid. Like don't who cares? I don't need to waste space storing that.
God, that was all over the internet so fast. Like nothing is sacred, you know?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I saw it at some point. I was like, I had to have seen something of it.
The tweets are just like, whoa, can't believe this is in the game.
Oh my god, dude.
Also,
yeah.
I
know. Just think of it. You can apply that to every game.
Also, I think I do as well is if I see a spoiler or start reading of one and I wasn't aware of it, I do is whatever I can to interrupt immediately, like X out or whatever. Because I think people have the habit of once they've read it, I'm already in, I already saw it, I'm just going to keep reading it. I feel like that cements it more in your brain that like it's gonna stick with you. Whether if you like ignore it and pretend it didn't happen, and if you go long enough and like focus on other stuff, like I'm doing other work today, I'm playing other games, you will forget about it. At least I do. I will forget about it, and I have so many things going on in my head.
The way my brain works.
I won't remember it. I'll be like, oh, I think when I get to that moment, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I think people actually were talking about this months ago, but I'm glad I forgot about it because I didn't remember it. So.
Lucky man.
I don't know.
Another thing I want to throw into this conversation is thinking back to previous generations of gaming. There were just less avenues available. You know, there wasn't downloadable games weren't a concept. You couldn't get your game crowdfunded. Yep. A lot of these things are new concepts that have really diversified video games in a way where a lot more things have a chance, and games that couldn't have succeeded in another era can now succeed. And that's a beautiful thing. That deserves applause. That deserves praise. That's a good thing. But sometimes I wonder when it feels like there's just a relentless assault of things coming out from all corners. That is it too much? Is Is that a problem? Is there a way we can make this better? Is there a filtering that we can do to discover the good from the bad, or is it just, are we kind of in the throes of this, or is it a problem at all?
I liked your answer earlier, Huber, about the blessing and curse of all this happening.
Yeah.
And I want to hit on the blessing part. It does kind of stink that there's so much out there that it's almost impossible to really dive into all of it and really enjoy it and really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, because there's so much out there, it means just a little bit more diversity in the content than we had when we were younger. Mm-hmm. It means there's likely something for everyone nowadays. Yeah. So that while you're going to miss out on a lot more, there's a higher chance you're going to encounter something that you are really going to love and be passionate about. Whereas back in the day, there was only so much. If you didn't get attached to that, you might be like, oh, gaming's not for me. I couldn't connect with any of these things. I'm going to go look for another hobby or something. I bet now, like, you know, people like to argue you don't even call people gamers anymore because everyone plays video games. There's like something literally for everybody. And that's great. But it also stinks that we might miss something amazing that we could have found.
And I cling to those wonderful games even harder now. Even more. Like, The Witcher 3 is like one of the last games that it's been years now.
Right.
And I think about it all the time. All the time I think about Witcher 3. So it's just like when I find a game now, and like even Zelda or Resident Evil 7, it's like when I get that game now amidst all of this oversaturation, I cling to it even harder. Movies too, same thing. When I get a movie, I'm just like, Sicario, yes. Like, oh my God, I just grab it tight, hold on, never forget.
Another thing, not to throw too much into this, but you've all made me think about very different aspects of this that I really like and I appreciate, and is again a very new thing. It feels like I think before the only way people could communicate about the value of something is how much it sold. And so you saw a lot of great games, a lot of great series with so much potential die just because they didn't sell. And I feel like now there are more direct and immediate and obvious ways for fans to communicate, no, we want to support this. We're willing to get behind this. And so you're seeing these great revitalizations.
Buy Danganronpa 1 and 2 on an HD console. Just pick it up. Help the cause.
Shenmue 3. Wasteland 2. A spiritual successor to Planescape Torment. All of these things that people have longed for for such a long time. And it keeps happening again and again and again and again. And that is something that I'm really thankful for, because not only is it giving the people that want more of that, it's filling that void, but here's another thing that it's doing that I think is important, is it's keeping it a part of these conversation. I care about gaming history. I care about the evolution of things, and having these revitalizations, having these spiritual successors is introducing to a younger or simply just not aware audience all of those great things of the past. And I think it's just enriching our appreciation and knowledge and making us able to understand video games better as a whole, and I can only see that as a positive thing.
Mm-hmm. And another thing too is the reverse of like the conversation. I feel like the conversation comes before the game now. Back in our day, you know?
Sure.
Back in the day, it was after, because you would get your magazine once a month, you know, and that would basically be it. You get your Game Pro, you're like, okay, that game looks cool. Get it when I get it, you know? I remember games would casually get delayed at the game store. They'd be like, oh, we didn't get it this week. You know, there was less of a hard date for games. It would just like they would just not get it.
Mm-hmm. I rarely knew when a game came out.
Yeah.
Or if a game was out.
So now, because of this oversaturation and just talking about a game so much, and the build-up and the trailers and the hands-on previews and the events and just everything leading up to it, it's okay, we finally got it. Now we're done.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure. It's just hard to stick that feeling sometimes. We're just like, no, I want.
So it's weird. It's almost
a little longer.
It's like, should we be when a game comes out? Is it just more of a singular thing? Should we just exclude the conversation at all in a way, because there's been all this lead up and build up and hype leading up to it with everyone as a community.
Here's
and then
my
maybe
answer
when the
to
game
that.
comes out, it's like, should we go in an echo chamber or isolation?
I think echo chambers are bad. What we should strive for, even though it's really hard to do and is not feasible, is we should always, as much as possible, try to be as open-minded and open to the possibility to as many games coming in and appreciate them as often. Because I'm not saying that people can't have opinions or taste or like certain things and not like others, but I've in my entire life, it's always been 100% true that the more open you are to things, the better off you are. That's just always been true for me personally.
My doors
really
are wide open.
It is. I think that's something the Allies are largely good at. Are we ready? Don't want to cut anybody off. But are we ready for the final section of this podcast? It's time for emails.
You don't watch Iron Fist, man?
Tonight. Our first email, I really like this one a lot. And Brad, I'm going to shoot this one at you first. Okay?
All right.
This one is from Filippo. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. If I get it wrong, let me know in the comments. Hello, Allies. I have a question for you. Did it ever occur to you that a game sparked an interest or even just looking them up on the web not related to gaming? For example, in high school, I bought Namco Bandai's Eternal Sonata, and its small bits about musical work really fascinated me, and I ended up reading a whole book. Chopin? Is it?
Yeah.
Chopin? Chopin. Chopin's works, and it really fascinated me. I ended up reading a whole book of his biography, and I still often listen to his music, and I never listened to classical music before. I also watched some of the movies that inspired Kojima for MGS, and recently looked up Sartre? Not familiar with these names. Sartre's philosophy thanks to Nier Automata. Do you have similar experiences, and do you think developers should try harder to push gamers into expanding their cultural baggage, or just keep being simple entertainment? Has a game ever inspired or deepened an experience?
Sure. I think two examples in my brain right now. Both are Souls, obviously.
Sure.
One was getting into Berserk, reading it.
Okay.
Learning about Miyazaki's love of that series and how much it influenced him on design and characters and world and all that kind of stuff. The second one was Bloodborne with H.P. Lovecraft.
Nice.
A lot of like his stories that influenced Miyazaki in that sense. So I went out and got a couple of his books and stories, and I read a bunch of them. Just kind of seeing like, how would I say it? It was just really cool for me to. I'm really interested in seeing where Miyazaki comes from on a standpoint of like design and everything, like because he's such like how he got in the industry is so unorthodox, and it's kind of like how I feel like I got into it. I feel like I relate to him in a lot of ways, and I like to figure out how he kind of thinks about things like that. It like learning about things that got him into stuff made me feel kind of closer to how he thinks, which I really appreciated about. Like I want to have a conversation with him, you know? Like Mike always talks about this. He wants to sit down and have a conversation with him. And I like to know kind of like, it gives me a taste of like what kind of person he is and how he thinks, kind of thing like that.
Isn't it the best feeling when you don't just like something, but you want to understand how it came to be?
Yeah.
That feeling, that impulse for not obsession, but just fascination.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I get that a lot with movies. Way more so than video games. I love film directors, Guillermo del Toro, Quentin Tarantino, Stanley Kubrick. All of them.
You want to sit down and have a conversation?
I want to sit down. I want to know how they think. When I find someone I like, that's really what started my whole thing of like, no, I got to go in order. It stems from film. I like watching a director's filmography in order.
Seeing that evolution.
Seeing the through line, seeing the themes, like seeing all that.
Are there specific examples of how, not just, we'll expand it beyond games, any media has inspired another unrelated interest?
None that really, not that come to mind. I'm sure I'll think of a bunch later.
Sure, think on it. Damiani?
I'm trying to think of better examples. I mean, anytime I have ever watched or read something about the making of especially Zelda games, some of the creators will talk about like their inspirations. I mean, the easiest one I can give, like, I didn't go check out Ultima after Miyamoto said that was like an inspiration for like the original Zelda, like they're gathering ideas from, but like Majora's Mask Like it was supposed to be like a Chinese opera was like their theme for it. I was like, what the heck? Like I've never seen anything for Chinese opera. So like, what? Time to go look up video like of Chinese opera or something to find those out. And that wasn't until like years after the game came out because I didn't have the means then. But I remember I was rewatching something again. I was like, oh yeah, they said this was inspired by Chinese opera. I want to go check one of these out because like what do they mean by this? Like I don't get it because I'm not familiar with this. It was just cool to like watch one and see like, okay, I'm seeing where they're getting some of these tropes from this game. And I know there's been stuff with like, and it's not to go read something else, but like it's also games have gotten me to go read, manga from the game as well. Like,
sure.
I know will do manga adaptations of something, and then like that'll get me to like dive into that, and then I'll find out that artist has done other series, and I'm like, oh, okay, they worked on this. So I didn't know they worked on this series. That's actually pretty cool. I think one of the I always forget their name. The artist who did the A Link to the Past guide artwork is a really good artist, and when I looked up their name and saw what other art they did, I just like went down this rabbit hole of all this like cool art they have drawn and stuff because it was unlike anything I had seen. I thought it was way better than anything like the artist at Nintendo did. This is like some freelance person they hired as contract. I was like, geez, this is really good stuff. And their talents expanded way beyond just video game stuff. They were drawing for every type of thing. I was just like, this is like great. And like I can see like their influence. I was like, I would want a Zelda game that looked like your artwork. Where is this coming from and stuff? And there's been like more moments like that where I'll even go further and like start going on Wikipedia, start reading about like, okay, they talked about like this type of like term and stuff. And I'll just fall down a rabbit hole. I'll catch myself I've been on Wikipedia for like 2 hours, like just diving further and further into a subject, which spawned because I was looking up for like a video game. And the best is when I get into science stuff, and it's so far beyond me. I love reading shit on Science Wiki where you can't even comprehend it because you're not in that specialty field. It's like
that doesn't sound enjoyable. It's
like alien to you. It's so scary. It's like who does like the people who do this stuff have gotta be geniuses. Like you can never toss around the word genius again until you can explain this to me. This is insane. Like. Go watch Interstellar. Be like, oh, black holes and stuff. Let's go read about them. Holy shit! I'm scared of life right now.
Black holes after Interstellar.
I don't understand anything about the world anymore. I'm scared.
I have a good one.
Yes.
This is why I love this series, because every single time I play Assassin's Creed, I research that time period to death. To death. I love it.
That's cool. I like that.
That is the reason I play those games, is to be in that world, in that time, in that place, in that time period,
Cool.
Just love it.
I have a really embarrassing one. When I was young, I was in 4th or 5th grade. I think around the time, 4th, 5th, or 6th, around that area. I played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, skateboarding is the coolest thing ever. And I went out and I bought a skateboard.
What do you remember what deck it was? What company?
I bought a Tony Hawk.
Oh.
I was a kid. It had like this sick pterodactyl on it.
It was like the hawk that's like a skeleton. Was it
yeah.
that?
I thought, okay, you have to understand. Tony Hawk was
no.
really cool to me at the
I'm just picturing it in my brain right
That's
now.
amazing.
Because I remember that. I remember that stuff.
That's like me with Fast and the Furious, man.
I went, so once or twice a month I would go to a skate park and try to like do
sick.
ollies and go down half
Dude, at
pipes
least
and stuff.
I respect that you did that, man. That's cool.
I broke my leg.
Oh.
I got all scarred up.
Oh.
But my dad, like, I was not good. I was never a good skateboarder, but I loved it. I really did. I thought everything about it was fascinating. I actually met some pretty cool people through it. And my dad, it was such a touching moment for me because my dad was like, he's like actually committing to this skateboard thing. He's really doing it. And so he went out and he had his friend make this grind rail for me.
Sick.
And he like brought it home and
sick.
It was cool.
Yeah, my dad used to build us ramps.
Cool surprise. Yeah.
So cool.
I love that. And
dude, I remember that.
Yeah, ramps.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I remember this.
Multiple ramps.
Weird.
My dad built me because me and my brother skateboarded. build us multiple ramps, handrail, lots of stuff.
I remember the ramp.
We never broke a bone, too. I was
Holy
shocked. Both of us.
Careful, dude.
We don't skateboard anymore.
It's
I
still
want another
You're gonna
Tony
like
Hawk's
trip
Pro Skater
outside and
that
break your wrist.
Yeah, good one.
Oh,
Garbage.
jeez.
Our next email comes in from Wesley. He says, "Hi, allies. Brandon's recent review of Horizon made me notice a common theme in the group. In the review and on podcast, Brandon talks about how much he's enjoying the game, literally in terms of that it's a 5-star game for him. Yet he realizes it will probably let other people down. The score at the end reflects other theoretical people rather than Brandon himself. Since then, I've heard Huber bring up Ratchet & Clank, his Ratchet & Clank review process relating to his time in college, taking journalism courses. The group discussed Damiani's Breath of the Wild review, losing a point for technical hiccups, and Kyle joked that he'd give Pokemon Sun and Moon 2 stars. That seems like more than a joke now. It seems like the group favors a goal of objectivity rather than subjectivity in reviews. But we're not reviewing dishwashers. Does it make sense to strive for objectivity? I'd like to ask, would all of your favorite games get a 5-star review from you? If the answer is no, then why does it make sense?"
I mean, I pulled Ratchet & Clank out for like legit reasons.
Yeah.
There's no way I would give it like 3.5. It's a 3.5 game for me personally. Yeah. Like the Jones's Horizon thing is way different because it is like theoretical, assuming people feel this way. Like when I score a game,
That's how you feel.
Exactly. Like For Honor, 4-star. It's a 4-star game. Like jokingly, I'm like, yo, 10 out of 10. Like I love this game, but like if I really sit down and analyze
but
it,
it's not
I score
you thinking about theoretical people. It is you giving your own honest appraisal.
Honest, analyzing the game, giving it the score I think it deserves, separate from my emotional.
But it is not entirely removed from your emotions.
I'm not completely detached. My emotion is still there, but my analytical emotion outweighs my just pure raw passion emotion.
Right.
Yeah, I think I talked enough about Zelda earlier in terms of the frame rate stuff, helping elaborate on that.
Right.
And I hope through our, if you listen to the person who asked this, if you're listening to this and you listen to the earlier part of this podcast, I hope I convinced you enough of the dungeon issues I had with it, like the atmosphere, and I didn't think they were really strong. I personally would wish more people would lump in. He also complained about the dungeons as well as the frame rate. The frame rate seems to get the most
Which
attention.
we all unanimously had.
Yeah, but like I see they're asking because it's a technical thing. You're saying games are art. Why is this frame rate thing holding it back from a perfect score or whatever when judged at like if like a painting had a mistake on it or something? Is it really a mistake? I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I feel frame rate is not something that in an instance of this is something subjective. It is very objective, but at the same time,
technology is part of video games, whether we like it or not. It's a whole different.
I try not to go too deep down that rabbit hole in games because I'm not a game designer.
Right.
I speak from my own experience. And then anytime I ever say I feel something could have been done better, it's because I've seen it literally been done better in another similar type of game. I don't say like I've never seen this done before, but I'm gonna theorize that you could have done this and could have done this, and it would have been a much better game. If you don't have something that, for me, if I don't have something that backed it up, like here's my example, I'll point out in so and so game they did it like this. I felt like that would have been a nice solution to the problem I encountered in X game. It's usually the only reason I drag in other games into my review either is just to help illustrate a point. The whole thing about like the other how I don't know if they're trying to go say something about how other people would perceive the game. Should you factor that into your review? I don't know if that's where he was going with the Jones
I
thing.
think what he's trying to say is
when Jones reviewed Horizon, he assumed people would be let down,
and we shouldn't speak for
Yeah,
Jones. I'm just using the body.
I'm just trying to see what was his what the writer's example, what they really mean by it. I guess
my interpretation of it is that you have this idea of like, I know this is going to bother some people, so I'm factoring that in.
Yeah.
And I think what we're saying is, no, it is very much our own experience.
Yeah, I also think it actually is fine to make a quick aside to that in your review if you can see that point of view, because in like I feel like a critical review is also part like it's you arguing for the game's quality.
Right.
An argument in debate, it's usually common to acknowledge the other side.
Yes.
But that's not factoring into your ultimate like decision here because you've made up your mind about it. So just acknowledging, hey, you know, some people like in Zelda, I didn't say this in Zelda, but I could have put a line in there. So like some people might not be, you know, very pleased with this game and find it to not be as, you know, good or whatever, because it breaks from the Zelda norm so, you know, radically that they might feel like it's too jarring for them. But I don't feel that way, but I at least want to say like I can see that point of view, and for anyone who's reading or watching my review, those types of people, I want you to know that. But I think you don't also need to say that as much anymore, because if you just say what you mean and don't pull in those theoretical things and trying to address everyone, if people don't see your point of view in the review, you're done. Like they've already got what they needed out of it. Okay, you said this about it. I don't see it that way, so you've helped me make my informed decision about the game. So you didn't need to say all that extra stuff about I could see how you could be, you know, not take this as good and stuff. I feel that's more for what we're doing right now, like in a discussion video that doesn't really belong in a review.
Yeah.
Would you give your favorite game 5 stars?
No.
Your absolute favorite game?
Favorite game has flaws.
But that begs the question, is 5 stars mean flawless?
No. Bloodborne is not my favorite game. I love Bloodborne. I would give it 5 stars.
Sure. Metal Gear Solid is my favorite game. I would give it 5 stars.
I would too. It all depends. It's case to case.
But what is your favorite game? Would you give it 5 stars?
Resident Evil 2?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it 5 stars.
I would give
I'd give
Resident Evil 2
5 stars.
Brad?
Yeah.
Well, this is tricky because I don't have a favorite game.
Sure.
When I think about some of my favorite games, like Bloodborne, I don't know if I'd give it 5 stars, especially when it first came out. Like when you reviewed it, like the time you reviewed it and how it performed and everything like that, and some of the shortcomings I think it has.
Right.
I don't know if I would have. When I think about Super Mario World, probably 5 stars.
Yeah!
It's probably a 5-star game kind of thing, you know?
Damiani, would you give your
Yeah,
favorite?
like within our scoring system, I would give Super Mario 64, A Link to the Past, or Metal Gear Solid, which is usually my top of my 3 favorite games. I'd give those 5 out of 5 stars out of a heartbeat.
Yeah.
When we get to that granular 100-point scale, that's what everyone. I think that's what people always
it's
want to
like
really know. Like, would you give it 100 out of 100? Mario 64, I might have a hard time because of the camera work. Even though there wasn't similar games at the time, there were still moments where it was a little bit frustrating that the camera wouldn't turn where I wanted to.
I'd like
so
to.
would it be a 99 out of 100? But like A Link to the Past and Metal Gear Solid, I'm really struggling to find a way to say like those aren't 100 out of 100 games. Like
it'd be funny being a game trailer is trying to slip a 10.0 for Resident Evil 2 by Bloodborne.
Right.
Trying to slip that by.
Like I know people have their differences, but to me, I don't have any flaws with A Link to the Past.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 remake.
Our last
E3,
email
baby.
comes in from Robert.
hi Robert.
In 2002, hello Robert, I walked into GameStop and impulsively bought a simple and clean piece of art called Kingdom Hearts, purely based off the description on the back of the box, and to this day it remains my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Allies, panel, what is the best impulse purchase you have ever made?
Shadows of the Damned.
You didn't know anything about it? You just bought it?
Bought it.
That's awesome.
Just bought it.
And it was great?
5 stars.
I
think the best impulse buy maybe it wasn't from me. It was from my dad.
That's okay.
I think it was Super Mario 3. I think it was that.
Nice. Just showed up one day?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
He's like, I know you like Mario. I just saw this and I didn't know that. Like I didn't even know about Mario 2, I think at the time. Kind of thing. Like there's Mario 3? Because you know, I didn't know when games were coming out.
Right. And you're
I was just like,
that day
Mario?
you find out that sequel to this thing that you love is there, and my favorite point in life, I'm exaggerating, but it was a really good time, is so how I fell in love with games is I had this babysitter and they had an NES, and I didn't know what video games really were. Like I was aware of them, but I'd never experienced them. And they showed it to me one day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, check it out if you want." And I was like, "No, this is all I want. I want more of this." And I just begged my parents to just get me whatever the latest video game console was. And they're like, "No, you don't need a game console, but I guess we'll let you rent a PlayStation." And so I remember very vividly that day walking through the Blockbuster, just scanning the shelves, not knowing. I didn't know anything about any of the games, but one called out to me. I could get 2 games. The first I got was Mega Man X4. Great video game. The second one was Parappa the Rapper.
Nice.
And I was playing Parappa the Rapper, and it still has this effect on me to this day, and Kyle could speak to this much better, but I was like, video games are cool. And when I play Parappa the Rapper, it's that same response.
Yeah.
Video games are cool.
Are these like purchases you have to have known nothing about the game before? Or like never heard of the games?
He says impulsive. And the only reason why I think we've kind of been gravitating to not having knowledge of is he said that he went in and just read the
Just
back
like
of
the box.
You don't really think about it.
Man, I don't really have a lot like that in my
That's
kind of
okay.
life.
That was how I found Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah?
I had a job in high school, so I had like disposable income where I could just buy games. So like the PS2 era, jeez, did I buy a ton of games. But I remember being in a GameStop, box, just staring at the box, and a dude had a gun. It's like, cool. Knew nothing about Ratchet and Clank, and then was just, holy crap, this is like my favorite franchise.
Sorry, I got one too now.
Okay.
It's same era. It was Sly Cooper.
Nice.
I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it and I was like, oh, this looks fun.
And it was.
And I love Sly Cooper, yeah.
Damiani.
So I had an impulse rental that led to an immediate buy.
Sure, yeah, I guess
Because
mine
I
was
can't think of an impulse buy. When I was younger and I would have been more prone to doing that, I rented games from Blockbuster.
Yeah,
I was
totally.
lucky. Arc the Lad Twilight of the Spirits for PlayStation 2. I just saw that box art. I saw the logo. I was like, I've seen some of these games before on PlayStation 1, but they didn't look as cool as this. But I saw like Karg and Dark on the cover, like in these like this dragon-looking dude and like the human next to him. I was like, I get to be a dragon guy, and I'm gonna okay, this looks pretty cool. Then I looked at the back and I saw like the combat. It's like isn't like your standard combat. It's like more real-time RPG with like moving around in like an air. I was like, wait, what? It's not turn-based? You don't stand still when you fight? I was like, all right, let's try this out. And I love that battle system. I was like, what? Like I hadn't seen anything different from like turn-based RPGs before that. Like I was not very diverse, and I saw that. I was like, yes. So I rented it, and I was like, went on eBay when I had enough money and bought it off eBay used. I was like,
How much?
yes. I don't remember. I could dig through my history and find out someday.
Yes. Give me an update.
yeah.
I'll give
Next
you an
time you're at
update.
Frame Shop, I'm going to ask you.
But
Give me an update.
Similar with like
man.
Grandia 2. I remember just like picking that game
Yep.
up.
Same.
I do have a quick question.
Impulse buys. Impulse buys are
Can
like
you read the first few the first sentence again from that? I want to know a certain piece of information.
I think I know what you're after. In 2002, I walked into GameStop.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute.
What?
What?
Sleuth over here.
That was not what I was expecting. Give me. Why did you need to know that? What were you looking for?
If you walked into a GameStop in 2002, Brad Lee Ellis.
Yeah. What was it?
And you tried to buy the game mentioned in this story.
Uh-huh.
I think you might have had a problem.
2002? Was it out by then?
Wasn't Kingdom Hearts? Was it 03?
In North America.
Was it 03?
We might. It might have been 2002. I just.
We got
I
it.
don't
came
know.
out-
We gotta
It
know.
came out when
I'm
we
s-
were sophomores,
Yeah.
I think, Mike.
So
I need to know.
03.
I think it was 3.
I gotta know.
Unless
Because
it was the
maybe,
first
maybe,
movie, yeah,
plus
yeah.
maybe- no,
Three.
the thing is, I hope I don't reveal too much about them. This might be someone from Japan.
Oh.
That's why I was.
I gotta
asking.
know. We
means
shouldn't
release date.
fact check on this show, but we're at the end.
I was
think we
about to say
can-
like, I know I questioned the story. I'm definitely sure this happened, but like,
Nope.
what?
We gotta know. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I thought you said nope. We were wrong. Sorry. Do it. Expand that release list.
Damiani, Japan,
Sleuth.
March 28th, 2002. North America, September 17th, 2002.
Oh.
We owe you an apology.
We do.
Maybe I was a
do.
freshman then. Huh.
That's going to do it. That exciting Kingdom Hearts fact check is going to close out this episode of
Yeah.
Frame Trap.
We just wanted a reason to talk about Kingdom Hearts
Yeah.
more. We're
Think
sorry.
so.
Love and respect.
Thank you all for sticking around this long. I say this every time, but I'm really getting a good vibe out of this episode. I hope that comes across. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more of us, you can find us on patreon.com/easyallies. It's the best way to support us. Give $1. Keep this train rolling. Keep those diapers
Juices
flowing.
Diapers.
The diaper
See,
fun.
I already
Oh
forgot
my
about
God.
the diapers. My mom was like,
You
were being
so
stupid
much
right now.
shit from these diapers now.
I can't wait for the fan art, baby.
Yeah, send
can
your
also
fan
go-
art. Please send us
Please
fan
send your
art.
fan art.
At all of our Twitter handles.
To twitch.tv/easyallies. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the love. We love all of you.
I don't
Until
wear the diaper.
next time.